his mic? Okay. Good afternoon, Superintendent, Cabinet, members of the board,
Good afternoon.
those of you who are visiting with us, and additional staff members, parents, employees, and others. Good afternoon. This is our June 21st meeting. I think this is the day that's designated as the longest day of summer? Or was it yesterday? But it's around this time. I don't think it's the hottest day we've had so far. It's kind of hard to beat yesterday. But just want to say thanks for coming in. We're going to call this meeting to order. I will ask all of us to stand, and I see Terrence Stone, if you would lead us into the Pledge of Allegiance. No.
Good evening. Put your right hand over your hearts. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Stone. 1.3. Unfortunately, we have witnessed another sad day in the United States of America. This occurred a couple of Sundays ago. So at this time, if we could have a moment of silence for the victims and families and friends of the Orlando, Florida tragedy. So again, I ask for just a moment of silence. Thank you so much. 1.4, adoption of the agenda. Okay,
And we have a couple items that we'd like to pull, Dr. Hill.
okay, sure.
So one, we have a consent item, 9.17, and we're going to pull that, not for discussion tonight. We'll resubmit that with the proper bid approval next month. And we also like to pull item 10.12, which is a discussion on the executive director positions. Board, we would not be bringing that to you at this time for discussion or action. Just wanted to pull that item as well.
Dr. Hill?
All right, thank you.
I would like us to consider pulling 8.6, Board Superintendent Protocols, indefinitely. 8.6,
You want to pull it indefinitely?
indefinitely.
Is that because, as a board, we agreed to follow protocol?
Too controversial.
Okay, maybe that'll be a discussion at our board workshop.
Or
So-
we can discuss it at that item.
Okay, we can discuss it. So we'll discuss it tonight then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other items to be pulled? Okay, if not, let's vote. Let's vote.
We'll hear a verbal, oh, there we
Okay,
go.
now-
It's
there
up
we are.
and going.
All right, thank
fantastic.
you, everyone. 1.5, inspirational reading. And what I'm going to share with you tonight, a letter that I received from a San Bernardino High School graduate who now lives in the state of Virginia. She sent me this letter in March, but I thought this would be an appropriate time to read it. And she wrote, "Dear Mrs. Hill, my name is Etta Mae Boyd, and I'm a member of the San Bernardino Historical and Pioneer Society. I got a memo that you are speaking to the society. I wish I could be there, but I live in Virginia, and I can't come that date. I am coming back in June to attend my 50th San Bernardino High School reunion. I had many horrible experiences at the hands of the kids there. These days, they call it bullying. I was a very poor kid. I had bad hair, bad teeth, Goodwill clothes. Those better off kids made my life, and she used the H word. They tripped me in the halls, knocked my only food out of my hands. I can still hear this one kid every time I walk by the quad chanting, "Etta, get better, 'cause you can't get no worse." Then laughing. Once they stole my gym clothes and I had to take an F in gym that quarter because I knew my dad couldn't afford more. When I told my dad about it, he cried. It goes on and on. I remember my counselor telling me, that she was sorry I wouldn't be going to college. I said, "Did you not see my grades? Why wouldn't I?" And in parentheses, I was smart once. She said she knew my folks couldn't afford it. I told her to watch me. I'm sorry to bore you with my experiences, but I am leading up to telling you that if I could give a message to all of the poor, sad kids at San Bernardino High School today, it would be to tell them that they can do anything they want in life if they try, and not to let anyone tell them that they can't, ever. Maybe you could give that message to them for me. I ended up getting that degree and worked for 41 years as a professional registered nurse clinician. I helped people get better and saved lives. They could do that and more. I am a national and state lobbyist for the Virginia Breast Cancer Foundation. They could go talk to their congressman too. I've been truly blessed. I've been married to the same wonderful man for 48 years. We have 2 very wonderful daughters, 4 amazing but mean grands. We live in a lovely house in the Virginia countryside. Life is good, and they can have all this and more if they want it and try. If you do get the chance, give kids this message from me. I would be truly blessed if it even made the difference to one kid. I will let you go. Thanks for listening to me. I appreciate it. Sincerely, Etta Mae Klein Board, and she will be here this weekend for her 50th anniversary, high school, not anniversary, her 50th high school reunion. So thank you, Etta Mae. Thank you. We're moving to session 2, special presentations, 2.1, recognition of Independence Day. I'm not sure where I stopped last time, but Dr. Okay, was it you, Dr. Flores, or Gwen? I'm not sure.
I think you stuck with me.
Okay, so Ms. Rogers, if you will.
I sure will. Okay. Recognition of Independence Day. Whereas on July 4, 1776, the United States of America claimed its independence from England and democracy was born, and whereas we invite all people in the San Bernardino City Unified School District to reflect on the famous words found in the Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And, whereas the San Bernardino City Unified School District has a responsibility in promoting the knowledge and understanding that can be gained by all through appropriate ceremonies and activities celebrating the birth of our great nation. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education encourages all district schools to undertake educational activities that commemorate the history of the United States of America.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. Let's vote. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
3.0, this is session 3, public hearing. 3.1. I open this public hearing. Public disclosure of the tentative agreement, Article 7, unit members' rights, and Article 11, wages between the San Bernardino City Unified School District and Communication Workers of America. Any discussion?
No comments.
No comments?
public
We will
comments.
close, we will vote and close. Close and vote.
Yes, you'll close it, and then you will vote.
Okay,
Yes.
So moved.
all right. Let's vote. Okay, thank you. 3.2. Oh, we don't need that. We just need, do I need to do them all? Oh, yes, we do. We vote at this time, okay, we just voted on that. 3.2, public disclosure of the tentative agreement, wages and articles, term of agreement between the San Bernardino City Unified School District and San Bernardino Teachers Association. Open public hearing. Any discussion?
No comments.
No comment? Let's vote.
Dr. Hill?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Mr. Tillman and then Dr. Flores.
No, I just wanted to comment that I think that it was good that we increased the rate for the coaches for the playoff rates and the standard rates to compete with surrounding districts. And I like the way they displayed it here in the agenda. Thank you.
Good, thank you. And I think we're all pleased for that. Long overdue, long overdue. Okay, Dr. Flores?
I also wanted to thank us, the board, for making, and also the staff, the administrators for making those recommendations, and also the SBTA for supporting the coaches' increase. And also, I'm really happy that we're in a good place, that we can provide a 4.5 increase to all our employees. So I mean, very blessed and very thankful that we're able to do that in helping our community and to show our thanks to everyone. Thank you.
And Dr. Hill, just to add on, because I was here when we made cuts, and it was tough when we took pay cuts. But the promise we made is we'll make the cuts together. When the money comes back, then we'll give pay raises again. So this is just proof that we kept our word as a board.
Okay, all right. So we've honored the commitment we made. Good, thank you so much. And that means we're looking at a lot of league champions next year. Thank you. Okay, let's close the meeting and then vote.
So moved.
Second.
All right, let's vote. Thank you. For some reason, I'm all thumbs today. Okay. Okay, now we're ready to go into session 4, public comments. This is the time each of you will have an opportunity to come up to the microphone, speak. As you speak, as you look to your right, you'll see a clock. We ask that you obey the time, and you have 5 minutes.
Fantastic. So the board welcomes our first member of the public, Dr. Steve Jefferson on Clues Charter School. Welcome, Dr. Jefferson.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Jefferson.
I'd just like to thank you guys for giving me this opportunity to talk on behalf of Clues Charter School.
Could you just move the mic up just a little bit?
Sure,
That'd be good.
okay. Yes, Clues has been a part of the community now going into this 4th year. Been able to do some tremendous things with some young people that have been forgotten about. Currently, we have 150 students that are from the community. Majority of those students basically have not succeeded in their other educational environment. They've been able to find a home there at Clues, and I would love to see that continue, although we do know there are some things that we have to clean up, and that's what we're hoping tonight, that people will be able to look at, that we are making those, definitely making those efforts. but also looking at the bigger picture, which is having a home for these young people. And if something was to happen, where are they going to go? Like I said, Clues, we'd be more than happy to keep them there and also to bring in more students like that. As a matter of fact, I think one thing that's been very amazing with the school has been our uniform policy. When you bring kids that from the community who really haven't been able to be a part of structure, and for them to come in and to put on those uniforms, and you guys have been there, you've seen them, they walk around and very proud of that. We've even heard from people in the community that have been able to identify those students in those uniforms, and it makes a big difference. So I just think that looking at the big picture of Clues, you know, what do we want to do with these young people? You just read a beautiful letter, Dr. Hill, that really applies to 98% of our students. Someone needs to give them opportunity, and I think Clues has been that place so far, and I would love to keep that as a way to continue.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you,
Jefferson.
Dr. Jefferson.
Also on this topic, as well as Mr. Frank Oliver. Welcome, Mr. Oliver.
Thank you, Superintendent, to our board president, to all board members. I come to advocate on the behalf of Clues. I've been the board chair for Clues for about 2 years now, and now the interim director. We would like to make sure that all board members get a response that we have filled out on the behalf of the board of Clues in response to the recommendations that you have set forth before you. We do have those responses. The ask that you would read from our perspective on how we are viewing the new moves that are happening at Clues. We also hope that you would take an advisement to give us a one-year extension to be able to make sure that we are able to fix many of the things that we have seen that have been maybe problematic with Clues. I would like to bring out a couple of those things is that we are underneath new administration. We do thank Dr. Jefferson for stepping up, who has many years in education and also a graduate of USC. I've taken as the interim director, and I've had 8 years of being an educator in LAUSD, and many of years of being in administration and the executive director of a community development corporation. We have moved into having a back office provider. We've moved from an internal financial department to the back office provider. We've set up many of the accounts that you have been worried about fiscally. We are ready to set up those accounts to happen. And we're just asking you to consider that extension. Again, Clues has over 150 students in which that we really care about those lives of those students. They're just more than just education, but we are really cultivating the dreams of these students who many times don't have anywhere else to go, who doesn't have family. Their stories are just bigger than academics. This is a future. And many of them, this is their last stop before they're in the streets. This is their last stop before they're in prison. I take Clues very serious enough that I've been able to take a leave of absence from my job to make sure that Clues will be relevant and help this generation of kids, because they represent where I came from. And somebody stepped in to love me, somebody stepped in to give me direction and to be persistent in my life, and I would hope to be able to do the same in the 150 students we have and the more that will come through Clues. So I thank you for this time, thank you for hearing, and we hope that you will consider allowing Clues to to extend one more year as we try to work out the difficulties that are ahead. Thank you, and these are also our responses that are happening. We will ask the board if they will consider those.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. And Mr. Oliver,
Thank
has Mr. Tikel's office already been in receipt of those responses, or are these?
Yes, he has. Yes,
okay.
Their office has.
Perfect.
And we've talked to him. There have been there are with many of the exhibits that you have. We've talked to Mr. Tikel's office. He said he's willing to work with us on some of those dates.
Great.
Yes,
So we
sir.
have those already. Fantastic.
Yes.
That was my question. Thank
Yes,
you so much, Mr. Oliver. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver.
Appreciate your comments. The board welcomes Ms. Erica Flores on the topic of air filters. Welcome, Ms. Flores.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
How are you
evening,
doing?
good evening.
How are you, Ms. Flores?
My name is Erica Flores. I am a community organizer for the Center for Community Action and Environmental Justice, as well as a proud resident of the city of San Bernardino. And I work and advocate along with several parents who have children that attend the various students that belong to this board, particularly Ramon Alessandro Elementary School, which is in the west side of San Bernardino. The purpose for my visit today is because the last time that we were here, we brought up the issue of the air filters that were installed, and I believe 5 or 4, and I'm thinking of a community center also located in the city of San Bernardino, that have air filters that capture over 90% of the particulate matter along with other pollutants that exist in the air. And when we came here, it was right before the contract was expired, and we were trying to work along with the board in order to get this contract to be renewed. However, at the time, we believed that there was what appeared to be a pushback because the understanding from the person that we were directed to speak to representing this board, this district, the office of Mr. Poikert, John Poikert, was suggesting that his understanding was that the air quality is actually improved. And based on that, it's taken quite a long time for us to get an answer as far as if this is going to advance or not. We have tried to have open communication with his office. He has been very kind. However, there's no direct answer as far as what's going to happen. And to be quite frank with you, this is a priority issue for the parents, not just for the organization, but for the parents who have children attending this school and are breathing this dirty air. I noticed, and I was very happy upon arriving here, that there are some flyers here for an AQMD meeting event that they're going to be hosting at Valley College, and we're co-sponsoring and helping out with this event because we know the importance that it takes to have parents and community members to have this open discussion about the air quality and really what's taking place in this area, which happens to have one of the worst air qualities, not just in the state, but in the country. So this is honestly, not just dangerous, but we really want this contract to be renewed. With that said, we're not asking for this board to advance with IQ Air, who initially provided the air filters. But if the representative of this district is so sure that in fact the air quality has improved, then I'm wondering why then do we need to have these type of workshops and events from AQMD, which happens to be a state agency, the Air Quality Management District. So today I would like to request for this issue to be agendized and be placed in the agenda so that this board the board members here can have an open discussion about this. The parents are concerned about this issue as well. And I'm also wondering, Mr. Superintendent, if to your knowledge, perhaps, I'm not sure if the filters have been replaced or removed from the vents at this point. IQRA has been very respectful at the fact that it's been on hold and the contract has yet to be renewed. Therefore, they have not sent the technicians to verify if in fact the filters are there or not. But that is also a concern of ours. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. And I have, just so you are aware, spoken with Mr. Poikert about this as early as last week. So it is on his radar. I know he's not here tonight to be able to speak more directly. And it would, when's the last time you spoke with him or his office?
I sent an email less than a month ago, perhaps 3 weeks ago.
So I think it'll be important for us to circle back with you so you can have a sense of where he is now. I can't speak for him tonight because he's not here. And we will have that discussion with you. And I'll also talk with our board about how and when we might agendize this so we can discuss it, because I think it is an important discussion. And it's important to this board, it's important to us. And so I'm confident there will be a solution
You're right.
that will be amiable.
With all due respect to you, Dr. Superintendent, the issue here is that we've had these conversations already. I've met with the office of Mr. Poikert. We've sat with him. I've gone on the phone with him. I've met with his staff. And it's very clear, and it's been very obvious what his intentions and what his stance is, and that is that he truly believes that the air quality has improved greatly, so greatly that these filters are no longer needed. And so that is a concern for us. And to be honest with you, on behalf of the parents, we no longer want to carry out a conversation with Mr. Poyker, but with this board.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr.
Thank you.
Tillman?
Yeah, and I would encourage us to agendize the item. I saw the maps initially that showed the plume and the discussion about the problem with the air coming in from a number of different places, including the railroad. And I'm sure that as we talk about San Bernardino being a transportation hub, I couldn't imagine why the air quality would get better. But I think as a board, we need to agendize it and just give direction to make sure that the filters are there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
we're
concur.
Happy to do that.
Yeah, I concur. I think we need to agendize it. And also, I'd like some clarification. The issue about the air filters, could you explain more explicitly what
Why-
the issue is?
What
I'm
the
not,
i-
I don't quite understand.
Right. The issue is that the filters have been installed, but after so long, they need to be replaced because the air quality is so dense in this area that once they capture the amount of pollution that they can take, they
replaced.
must be replaced. Otherwise, they're no longer working. And so we are aware that the children and the faculty and the teachers and the staff spend most of their time indoors, not outdoors. So yes, the rail yard, the heavy trucks, and all of the heavy development that's taking place in terms of the warehouses that continuously keep on being developed in here are simple, they're honestly factors that contribute to the poor air quality. But to answer your question, Dr. Flores, if those filters are not renewed, as of right now, the children are breathing the same dirty air as they're outside. And part of this is to protect their health. IQR did offer a huge discount to be applied should this board decide to renew the contract. But we are open to moving forward with any other company. The reason why we were initially going with IQR is not because they're friends of ours. It's because, to be honest, they developed the best technology that currently exists, and that's why we chose that company.
Thank you, Ms. Flores.
Thank you.
Thank
So we are going to agendize it as soon
Abs-
as possible because
Be our
the kids
pleasure to
come
do.
back in August?
Be our pleasure to do that.
Okay, all right, next
Thank you.
board meeting, yes.
Yeah, more than likely that'll occur in the second board meeting in July. Yeah.
But is that enough time to
Yes.
get the filters in
Yes,
there?
it will be. It will be, absolutely.
You're positive?
I am.
All right,
Thank
because they
you.
get in there in August. Okay, I would prefer our July 1st meeting.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Flores.
The board welcomes several members of Young Visionaries, and we see our own Terrence Stone here, so please, you are welcome. Mr. Jackson, Mr. Lash Jr., and Mr. Williams, please, you're welcome.
Hello, and thank you for having me here today to speak to you all about Young Visionaries. My name is Jonathan Williams. I'm a recent graduate from Cal State San Bernardino, and I currently work as a mentor here at with Young Visionaries and Terrence Stone. And it has been a pleasure to work as a mentor in this company, and especially in this city. One of the things that I've realized that we find extremely important, especially for the city of San Bernardino, the county, the district, is that the role of a mentor is so important. Young Visionaries provide 3 services, main services. It's mentoring, tutoring, as well as workforce development, employee development. And I feel personally connected with mentoring because the need is so great. Many of the students that we work with are African American. Specifically, we work for the African American Student Achievement Program called ASAP. Many of the students don't have representation or role models in the city of San Bernardino other than gang members or those who are laid out dead on the streets. So unfortunately, or they're looking on the TVs to see like what's popular, which either is a rap artist or what have you. So we go in there and we do whatever we can just to inspire them. We talk about self-esteem. We talk about motivation. Many of the teachers have expressed to us how important our role is in the school districts and in the schools. Many of the students, they are eager to see us. The days that we come, they're mad when we're not there. And so to me, I find it critical that I come to work. It doesn't even seem like work to me anymore because I just come in and I'm just have the opportunity to inspire these young individuals, because I would hate for them to be left towards TV to give them direction and the guidance that they need. Many of the things that we do with them are just like positive affirmations, just so that they have a sense of worth and a sense of confidence that build them up on a day-to-day basis. Because there are so many things that they go through, whether it's seeing a shooting, having a family member a part of a shooting, or what have you. And it is critical that we target their psyche, because it's either a negative thinking or a positive thinking. So when we go in there and we have our discussions or we have our group, whether it's tutoring or mentoring, we give them a sense of hope that goes beyond the television screen. Like, we're right here with them inside of their classrooms. One of the things that I've been blessed to have as a mentor, Terrence Stone has been one of my mentors, and just by the grace of God, I've been able to see like how an individual runs a business, African-American individual runs a business outside of the rap game or outside of the drug cartel. So I find it critical and necessary that mentoring stay within the school districts and expand outside of that. That's, for the most part, basically all I have to say.
Thank
We
you.
have just a quick synopsis of what we've been through over the last year. We've taken the students on field trips and an array of things that we just want to share with you all if you will accept this.
Thank you.
Either we can give it to him or
Yeah,
however.
you bet. Thank you, Mr. Williams. We'd love and good to see
Thank
you
you.
again, by the way.
Likewise, thank you, Dale.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Board welcomes Mr. Jackson or Mr. Lash. That's fine. That's just fine. Thank you.
Good evening, Board. My name is Aaron Lash Jr., and another critical component that we, as ASAP, undergo is tutoring. Tutoring is very important because we serve as a gap to the teachers and the students, revolving around their classwork, homework, and other problem areas. Within our program, we supervise Del Rose Elementary School, and every Monday, we have our designated tutoring days. So students come in and they bring in their homework and any classwork that they have problems in, and they improve. It got, at first, students were very kind of uneasy about homework because they think that, okay, seeing us was taking a break from their teachers. But once we kind of introduced to how learning would be fun, then they loved it. So much so that one of the teachers had came in one day during our session, and she began to tell us how one of the students who really struggled within math, he began to get it. And she was so happy with our improvement, she began to cry. And for us, that wasn't ideal. I gave her a hug and everything, but just to see the joy that she had because he was improving. My colleague Jonathan Williams said, that all these kids can be what they desire to be if they have an opportunity. And as we invest in them since this past October, we've noticed that they have joy in learning. And I feel blessed to be able to have a role in their assistance in, them becoming confident educationally as well as personally. And I thank you all for your help, your assistance, Terrence Stone, for this momentous opportunity. And thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Lash.
you.
Thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
The board welcomes Mr. Jackson.
Good evening. Thank you guys for having me. So we work with 8 schools. We work at 6 elementary schools. We work with 1 middle school and 1 high school for right now. So the high school is Pacific High School, and another component of our ASAP program is the Employment Development Program. And through the Employment Development Program, we work with Pacific High School students, and they come over to the Young Visionaries Print Center, which is over on the north end of San Bernardino. And so at the Print Center, they learn how to do resumes, cover letters. They learn how to do interviewing skills. They also work at the print center. So they learn customer service, they learn how to do the register, make copies, faxes, and stuff like that. So through our program, since the beginning of the school year, we've had 12 students. 10 successfully completed. 2 of them moved, so they weren't able to complete. We've had 3 students. They actually gained employment. 3 students, they graduated from high school, and we had 2 of those students are going to Cal State San Bernardino to further their education. So the Print Center, it's an amazing program. The Employment Development Program, it's amazing. It really allows students to kind of open up their options as far as work, and it even motivates them to do positive things. One of the students that we work with, he's 14 years old. He has a 4-month-old daughter. He was locked up for a little bit, but he has his 4-month-old daughter he has to take care of, and there's not a lot of jobs that are hiring 14-year-olds. So you guys know what his option, what one of his options is, but he talked to me. He said, I want to do the right thing. I want to go the right way, And so I take them to apply for jobs and to talk to different employers. So I took them to the mall to kind of pass our resumes and talk to the employers at the mall. And he was kind of discouraged. He was like, I'm 14 years old. Like, nobody's going to hire me. Like, why am I here, pretty much? I just told him, just, pass out. You never know. You never know. Just give them your resume and see what they say. And so we walked past a kiosk a couple of times. And I was like, go talk to that guy over there. And he was like, but he talked to him, and the guy actually offered him a job, and so that really helped him out as far as his self-esteem. He's really motivated to do, positive things, and that was just one of the stories that we have. It's just amazing to see, these kids just brighten up and just really be motivated to do positive things. So I just want to say thank you guys for allowing us to work with the San Bernardino City students, and look forward to working with them next year as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you so
Jackson.
much.
Much appreciated.
Tell your father we said hello. Okay.
The board welcomes Miss Vanessa K-Joy.
Can I say,
Oh, please. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm
I was
sorry.
hiding. No
Ms.
problem.
Rogers, I didn't see you.
No problem. As she comes, I just want to say to Mr. Williams, Mr. Lash, and Mr. Jackson, and to you, Terrence Stone, you guys are doing an amazing job. I really appreciate you all coming and sharing with us, because I do see you guys in the community with the same energy all the time, and youth are smiling and excited. I know last year I was a little concerned when you guys said you were going to graduate. I thought, okay, are you leaving? Are you guys going to stay? And you guys committed and said you're going to stay here and you're going to connect with the youth. You guys have even worked with my son. So I am appreciative to what I see you guys doing in the community and learning and connecting our youth. So keep up the good work. We really appreciate the service that you all are doing. Thanks.
Thank you.
Welcome, Ms. K-Joy.
Hello. Okay, so Vanessa Kayegoy, just in case, I realize I haven't really introduced myself in the last several board meetings again, but I am the coordinator of compliance for Fortune School of Education here, representing Hardy Brown College Prep, which is located within your school district. I have just dates for you guys, nothing more. Last day of school is tomorrow, so our scholars actually have a day full of fun and activities and water. And I will be far away from the water, but I will be taking pictures, so I plan to share those with you guys in August. But June 16th, which was last Thursday, our board adopted our LCAP as well as our budget, so we will send a final draft. We sent the draft over to you all, but we will send the final draft over of the LCAP. June 22nd, as I said, is the last day of school. July 25th through 28th, we will have our summer intersession, which is for our students who are at risk for retention. So we have a spring intersession as well as a summer intersession to allow those kids to get additional assistance. August 3rd through 5th, we have our summer symposium, which is for all of our staff, faculty, and administration. They will be coming up to Sacramento for professional development over those few days. August 13th is our mandatory parent orientation, which will be located at the school location. and August 19th is our first day of school of the 2016-17 school year. So thank you again for allowing me this opportunity to share with you all and to give you updates throughout the last 6 months, and I plan to continue doing so next year. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you
Kishore.
so much.
Appreciate that update. Fantastic, and the board now welcomes Ms. Carrie Gilbreth on the topic of the athletic strategic plan implementation. So welcome, Ms. Gilbreth.
Hello, I'm Carrie Gilbreth. I'm a little casual tonight because I'm in vacation mode, so
Nothing wrong with that.
thank you for letting me dress down a bit for tonight. I'm here to talk about strategic investment. And a few years back, and it was a lunch that was started with a couple parents and community members that talked about the importance of athletics in driving our students. That lunch led to a creation of the athletic strategic plan, which led to the implementation of an athletic strategic planning committee led by Dr. Volkemer, and the many ADs and community members. And then it produced results. And tonight, I am here to thank you and celebrate on behalf of so many parents of student athletes the results that you're producing today. Not only is what we're talking about for the board tonight, but this year we celebrated out of 25 high schools the best female and male student athletes in the Ken Hubbs Award. And we celebrated amongst 10 Southern California newspapers, which represent all of Southern California, the best scholar athlete at San Bernardino High School in Alexander Madison.
That's right.
That is a huge props to our district and something that has never been done before. And with your resources, we are going to replicate it.
That's right. That's right.
When you look at those kids and you look at the investment that you're making and improving tonight, it's a prime example of strategic investment. Investment is made by us as parents. It's made by you as a board. It's made by us as property owners within this city. It's made by our corporate partners. And I'm honored to have had the opportunity to be a part of that on every level, both with this and with many things that are leading forward with the district that's going in such a positive direction. As a parent, the impact to athletics is incredibly important for myself, for my friends, and the impact of our kids. My son, I will tell you, would not be where he is without athletics. In fact, I wish we could keep winning so that last 2 weeks between when sports end and when his finals are, he would rock it. I mean, we would just be great instead of having this time that says, I don't need to study. But, and he's one of many that fall under that category. So with that, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to all of you tonight. Because of you, we are going to have budgets in place for our individual programs. We are going to have the safety of having athletic trainers in place at each of our schools now. We have new uniforms, which you've already approved, and we're now competitive with other coaches in the area. So not only are we going to keep our good talent, we are going to retain it, and we're going to recruit it. And so with that, I want to thank everyone here tonight. I look forward to what's next for athletics, and I look forward to it for our kids. I'm going to end it on a note that as you sit up there on the dais, it's always so important to hear the stories that are making a one-on-one impact. And when I share that, and I share that my son is someone who was completely driven by sports, and it's carrying him through IB, because that's the deal we have with him, that he's got to be an IB kid if he's going to play sports. But as he was challenged this year with what his future was, Rich and Brianni took a lot of one-on-one time with him outside of school, outside of it, and helped that kid pave a beautiful path. And for us as parents, for what athletic directors do, we're very grateful. So thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbreth. It's not often the board has folks that come and say thank you, and so we really appreciate that rare treat. Thanks so much.
And always great seeing you.
Always good
The board welcomes Ms. Rochelle Capizio on the topic of the Indian Springs Pool and the LCAP. Welcome.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Good
Dr.
evening.
Marston and board members. I was so gloriously happy to see this picture when I came in tonight of the Indian Springs pool. And I'm going to tell you why. Because way back in the day, when LCAP first started, we broke up into many different meeting groups. And I was at Indian Springs High School. I think we were working on Strategy 9 at that time. And we were passing back and forth our ideas of, how we should spend this money for the kids. What would, be the best interest of the kids. And my boss, Ron Fletcher, asked Dr. K, could you bring us some kids? And so he went, oh, yeah. And so when we came back after lunch, he had about 10 students there. And we started asking them, about their experiences, and we heard lots of sad stories. And then we finally ended up by saying, well, we're here to find out what you think would make this better experience for you. And they surprised us by saying, we need a pool. They said we're the only high school in the district that doesn't have water sports, that doesn't have a pool. And here it is. And so this is like LCAP proof that it's working, and that they're hearing the voices of the students and what they need. And it just makes me so happy to have been a part of this.
Well, we appreciate your compliment. Thank you very much
You're
for taking
welcome.
the time to address the board. It's so appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Next public comment, the board welcomes Mr. Jay Lindberg. Welcome, Mr. Lindberg.
Hi there, good evening.
Hi, Jay, how are you?
Tonight I'm going to talk about climate change. And one of the reasons I'm bringing it in front of the school board is that, I keep coming up here, I've come up here a few times and said, you really need to read the history books and the science books and the biology books that y'all actually have and make sure that the information is accurate. One of the issues that I mentioned the last time I was here is I asked the question, does anybody know what methane hydrate is? Well, nobody did, and none of y'all probably still even remember it. But, and I think we only have one person up here with a science background.
Yeah, you didn't ask me, Jay.
Okay, good, okay. Anyway, but the reason I bring this up is because I keep saying that you really need to look over your history books. You need to look at what's in there, your history books, your biology texts, your science. Y'all really need to know this stuff. Y'all really need to make sure that what's in those texts are accurate. And this climate change issue, I wanted to give you a sort of like I'm working on this little thing called Climate Change for Dummies and elected officials. And the reason I mention elected officials...
Isn't that synonymous?
Yeah, no, it's not going to be anonymous. But during the presidential campaign, Bernie Sanders kept stating over and over again that the input that we're going to have to apply to deal with climate change is going to be along the scale of the Manhattan Project. And I was looking at this and I was trying to say, what the hell is he talking about? So what I did is I looked over some facts, and one lead that I got was that the Iditarod, they had to ship in snow for the Iditarod last year, which is basically means that you're in the Arctic Circle and there's not snow on the ground for these to run it. That doesn't make any sense. So I went on the internet and I said, what caused this? Because the newspapers just said, We had to slip in, we had to bring in snow, and that was all they said. But nobody asked why. So to make a long story short, I went on the internet and I did a whole bunch of looking, and I found out that what's happened is there is a methane cloud that has formed over the Arctic Circle that has raised the temperature almost 15 degrees C. Because I had to look at it and say, how much energy would it take to create this mess? And I said, okay, so you're telling me that there's this methane cloud, and the cloud is caused from the methane hydrate that I mentioned, the last time I was here, that nobody, but except for Michael, probably knew what it was. The only science guy, you should read your science texts to make sure that they're honest. And that methane hydrate is being released from the permafrost at such a rate that it's expanding. Now, that raised some other questions. I said, how is that expansion of the methane hydrate affecting the ice cap in Greenland? Y'all probably don't know that Greenland is 1,500 miles long. And to put it in perspective to this country, it's like you're talking about the Mexican border and the Canadian border. And what happened is the methane hydrate cloud had moved down to where the top of Greenland, the ice melt, was greater than at the southern tip of Greenland. Now, the only way that can happen is that the temperature at the top of Greenland was higher than 1,500 miles south of the bottom of Greenland. Or if we look at the U.S., it's like the temperature at the tip of Texas and the Canadian border. That takes a lot of energy. That takes a lot of global warming, greenhouse gases, i.e. methane, to create that mess. So the next question I had is this expansion, is there any way we can stop it or slow it down? Is there any science that's out there to stop it or slow it down? That answer is no, which explains Bernie's saying that we need a Manhattan-style project to fix it.
Thank you,
Time.
Mr.
You know where I'm
Lundberg.
going with this?
Thank you, Mr. Lundberg.
Okay, anyway,
Thank you for
put
your
something
comments.
in your history books that makes some sense.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Those are all the public comments this evening. Dr. Hill?
Thank you. We'll move now to session 5.0, administrative presentations. 5.1, local control and accountability plan.
Yes, so again, this is an update for the board. We'll take you'll vote when we get to our action items. For presentation, briefly, Dr. Mitchell.
And again, if we can hold any questions we have until the end of the presentation, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, it won't be a real formal presentation. It'll just be brief, I think. Yeah.
Yes, Board. Tonight we're just taking action on the LCAP plan. We've done formal presentations the last about 2 board meetings ago. We've had about 16 multiple meetings across our stakeholders, getting their feedback and revising the plan. As you know, we've reduced the plan from over 400 pages to a little bit under 300, making it a little bit leaner plan. We've experienced some significant gains across our system, and so looking forward to tooling it up and improving the plan and keep monitoring it with the board's support. So thank you.
Okay, Dr. Flores?
I just want to address my colleagues. I've been going to different meetings throughout the state, Delegate Assembly, Californians Together, CABE, other programs, and the template, the LCAP template, is a real big issue. It's very cumbersome.
Yeah.
And so there's a proposal that's going to go before the state board to revise the template, the LCAP template. And we recommended in the Delegate Assembly that template, is for reporting, but we also need a template, like an infographic, to report to our public, to our parents, and also to us, and to see what we want what are our goals, what are the programs, and what's the money that we're spending, and what are the results. So you would have a matrix that says, here's what we're proposing, here's what we've done, right? Here's the money that we're spending, and here are the results. So right now, we're not seeing those results. It's all in the narrative. And it's, it's too cumbersome to access it. And so I think that we as a board should take the initiative to produce those infographics that show our parents, our public, how the results that we're getting from how we make the decisions in terms of our LCAP money. And also, through Ed Trust West, I went to the meeting when they were here, and I think Dr. Marsden and Dr. Mitchell also went, and I stayed. I know that they provided a tremendous amount of information regarding the budget, but also, how we can streamline and also be accountable, to our kids, because they're the bottom line. What is it? How are we moving the dial for our kids? How are we, what are the results? And and I think we can track it in our dashboards and so forth. So that's what I wanted to say.
It's great.
So thank
And
you.
appreciate you sharing that. And that was pretty consistent throughout the state on that template. It's just not user-friendly.
But it also, the infographic, the template is the reporting.
Sure.
And when we give it to everybody, even I look at it and go, oh my God, I'm not going to read through all this.
Yeah,
I
something
do.
parent-friendly,
Right.
easy to read.
Yeah, right.
With results, yeah.
And it's a visual.
Sure.
And it's provides what we've done.
No, we can do that.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Great advice, Dr. Flores. Right, similar to what we've done in the past, but much more, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Flores.
And we will vote on this in action item, and we'll
Correct.
move on to 5.2, fiscal year 2016-17, the final budget.
And again, the board's had an update at our last meeting, but Ms. Christakos is here to provide a brief overview and,
Yes. So this evening, we'll just look briefly at what's going on at the state. We have our final budget for your consideration this evening to adopt. We'll talk briefly about the major changes. You can change the slide. The major changes since we showed this to you in May. Our total projected updated revenues and expenditures, our combined multi-year projections and board approval. So the Budget Conference Committee took action on the 16-17 budget. Both houses approved the budget bill in time to meet the constitutional deadline. You know, they have to do that by June 15th. Governor Brown has until June 30th to sign the budget and exercise his line item veto power over any spending items deemed to be outside of the compromise. The LCFF gap remains the same as what we showed you in May at 54.84%. We'll get $31.7 million. One thing that did change is the state mandated reimbursements. We're actually going to get 1.3 million less than we thought at the May revise, so we'll have to make adjustments for that. The early education block grant is not in that final budget at the state level. This is good news, I think, because they were going to incorporate TK into that block grant. I think there's other initiatives to expand for childcare, but we didn't want TK as part of the block grant because we would ultimately lose money. So really quickly, here's our total general fund showing most of our revenue. These are our revenues. Most of our revenue is generated from LCFF between the base and supplemental and concentration. We get about $43 million in federal dollars. Lottery's about 1% of our total revenues. We have other state revenues and a small amount of local revenue. Our total general fund expenditures, we're projecting at this point $634 million, and you can see the breakdown between certificated, classified, employee benefits, books and supplies, other services. On slide number 6, these are just the major changes that have happened since May 26th, that loss of $1.3 million, And then at the board's request, we included $1.5 million for the athletic strategic plan into the budget. We also made some adjustments for the tentative agreement, so there's been some adjustments for that. The multi-year projections combined general fund, I know it's difficult to see. We have a box around line number 3. We show some significant deficit spending next year. Most of that is carryover. But as we start to move out and we look at 2018-19, we have to be careful. I was conservative in that year and did not include any additional revenues. But we will have to be careful as we move forward, as we're getting close to that full funding. I think went through this line by line in May. If you don't have any specific questions, I'm going to go ahead and move to some of the board's accomplishments on slide 8. So this is not an exhaustive list, but these are a number of items that the board has accomplished with the additional dollars. Reduced class sizes, we've to date added 159 FTE. We've added additional counselors. Every elementary school has a counselor. I'm not going to read each line, but increased our maintenance, custodial, and ground workers. Funded other LCAP priorities, and some of those priorities that aren't spelled out here are the board innovation grants, GATE certifications, AVID expansions, VAPA. So there's a number of items that aren't on here that we should include on the infographic, Dr. Flores, that you're talking about, and as well as this list. And then if we move to, and that total is $213 million. Some of this is one time, but the board also maintained the formal categorical programs. That was $71 million. When we move to slide 9, we look at the increased support and services that are included in our 16-17 budget. We have a placeholder for salary increases. We've increased transportation, additional FTE for our K-3 class size reduction, competitive comparable salaries, added FTE for both grade 8, grade 9, and core classes in grade 10 through 12, professional development, continuing our child development where we lost the funding of First 5, expanding our Chromebook initiative to 15,000 devices, the TSSP plan, sports and band uniforms, and so it's a number of items that the board has approved and continues to look for ways to improve and increase services for our students. And so it's a real generous list and very, very great for our kids and our community. And then as we move to next steps, we will there's an action item at the end of the agenda to approve the budget and the LCAP. The governor has till June 30th to sign the budget. Any major changes will be brought to the board by August 15th. And then our unaudited actuals, where we actually end the year, will be presented to the board by September 15th. And there may be additional one-time dollars available for some of our priorities. And that's the budget presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Christakis.
Hey, Mr. Tillman.
And I talked to Ms. Christakis already, and she mentioned it on this last page on unaudited actuals. Should be added to our calendar that we have in the book. That should be a date. And just to my fellow board members, that's one of the most critical reports we get, because everything else is based on projections. But those unaudited actuals are the only time when you close the books, and as of June 30th, we learn how much money we really did spend. And what really should happen is we should compare that to the actual projections. And I talked to Ms. Christakis because I think it's important for me, at least, to actually clearly see. For one example would be how many positions were budgeted, and then how many were actually filled, and then what was the cost savings, if any. So we get and then also because we're getting so much new money, looking at how much money sites get and then how much money sites actually spent. One big thing with the money we're providing for athletics, we have to make sure that the money doesn't get supplanted. And supplanted is something that they worry about a lot about at the state level, where when the state gives you money, then you don't take the money we're already spending and spend it on something else, because that would be a disaster, an example of athletics. If the school sites receive the new money from the district, but then take money that they were already spending on athletics at the sites and spend it someplace else, we'll be in the same boat. So we have to make sure we give the charge that the staff and administrators make sure that the site administrators aren't going to take away money, because then we'll be defeating our purpose. So I hope we ensure we do that. And then lastly, when we talk about LCAP and local control funding, and just the mere fact that the district has a budget of $640-something million, it's never going to be easy, it's never going to be clear. So the best thing to do is to try to provide information to people when needed on the specific subject. That's my personal opinion. And then also be able to explain to a lot of people that our district is unique from the perspective that almost all of our students qualify for additional money through local control funding because of their social economics. And you don't get double money. So if you qualify because of social economics, you don't get extra money because you're a foster kid. You don't get extra money because you were ESL. You get the money one time. So it's going to be a lot easier and cleaner for us to show that the money was spent on the students it was targeted, because in reality, all our kids are targeted. And so we need to be clear. I think that we need to be clear with everyone that that's what's happening. But I think in the end, it comes down to the same thing that it's always come down to. The public wants to make sure the money's being used in the best way to service our kids and to give them every opportunity to be successful in their education. And that's what we have to continue to do. But I can't say enough how excited I am about the additional money. We actually went from, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Christakis, but like $6,500 a student 3 or 4 years ago to over $10,000 a student. That's amazing. And I think we've done a great job in having balance and being proportional about using the money in different areas. We didn't spend all the money on salaries. We used it for special programs. We used it to bring back key staff, career pathways, the counselors, the every that we cut, we've restored the money, and that's the way it's supposed to work, I think. So I think in the end, we have results. The results are right, but the results are the results we talk about: test scores, dropout rate, graduation rate, attendance. What we're doing with these special programs to fill the gap for the students, the mentoring, the tutoring, the way we spent additional money on CAPS,
Right.
the programs we're doing.
But I want to show it so that people see it.
I agree, but it should be a long list. They have the list here tonight. We talked earlier about the district expanding AVID to
Right.
elementary schools.
We should see it, of
That's
course,
huge.
yeah.
So all that stuff, you're right, should be on the list, and we should tell the story, because we really are, I think, using the money in a way that the whole local control funding and the whole LCAP process was meant to be. Thank you.
We can
Thank
do that.
you.
And Mr. Tillman, if I can, I want to mention to you that I can assure you the message about the supplanting piece will be delivered and implemented.
Thank you.
So I just want to mention that.
Okay, Dr. Flores?
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on that. To assure that that doesn't happen, they're going to have their own coding, I believe, right? So that, is that right, Dr. Volkemer? They will have their own codes where they will spend that money. Operations, uniforms, what else? Is there 3? Is there 3 codes? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
The 3 areas that the board has funded this year are the uniforms, the equipment and infrastructure through LCAP, and then the 3 items that are up for decision this evening, which are the athletic trainers, the coaching stipends, and the base operating budget.
And the operating budget, right. So they'll have different codes for that.
But my concern is, remember, those sites are spending money already on.
Let Dr. Flores finish with.
Yeah, no, they will control it, the athletic directors will control it so that the principals can't go in and take it.
That's not my concern. My concern is, the sites are already spending money on athletics.
Yeah, but they were spending money on athletics and taking away from others.
But Dr.,
Yeah,
well,
we don't want that.
I
They were taking-
I can assure
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
we will make sure the board's intention is carried out.
I want to reiterate what Mr. Tillman said about September 15th. That's very, very crucial, because I want to know, or we should know, what the cost savings were on the unfilled vacancies. That's money that will be carried over. And if we have substantial money, what will we do with that? And as a board, where will we redesignate it, or what would we, want? In terms of giving sites more money, I totally believe in that. If we can do that, that would be great. The instruments, we believe in our students, having new instruments. We got the inventory and so forth. I think as a board, we have to decide, how are you going to do it? Are we going to do it incrementally? Are we going to, have a 2-year plan, a 3-year plan, or 1-year plan? I don't know, whatever. I just learned, board, that, remember, I've always talked about the SES, the Supplemental Educational Services. Danny, listen to this. And our district would get $5 million, and we would have to go out to outside providers after school. We now, with the new ESSA rules, we now control that money. So we can use it during school or after school. So I don't know what the total is, Ms. Christakis. It used to be $5 million, but I'm not sure what it is. But that gives us an additional money. And do you know if we can spend it whatever way we want? Maybe we can get more. Maybe we can get more Chromebooks. Maybe we can have tutoring.
So it still follows the federal guidelines, and so I know that Terry Komnick, we can get information to you on some of the items that it can be spent on, but I think we still want to provide those services just in
Right, it's for tutoring, and I know that some programs would give computers, so perhaps we could, I don't know what we could do. I mean, I would like to really know what the regulations are. And if we're going to do classified professional development, I think that since we're moving towards doing teacher professional development, it would really be good if our teachers' aides also were involved in those professional developments with the teachers. And because they also need to know the pedagogy. They're the ones that help the kids. And so somehow I would highly recommend that we somehow do that as well.
It's great advice.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And Dr. Flores, I'd like Mr. Christakis really for the board to speak to this piece that she has in mind, where when we do identify undesignated dollars or new dollars, for
Right.
example, as you described, we have a process in play that I think it would be important the board hears
Right.
how the board's priorities will come into play.
Right.
So in this report, we already projected some savings, and there probably will be
Right.
more. And so I think it would be good if we put together a format that the board agrees upon.
Right.
We list the items, because at each, at the board meetings, we'll hear different items. And then the board prioritizes those items. We designate what's one time, what's ongoing, and then we get the consensus of the board on that. And I wanted to thank Dr. Flores because she read my budget book, the book Janet put together, every single page, and she found a couple of things, and so you'll see some corrections on the dais on our assumptions, and thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you,
I'm
Dr.
an editor.
Thank you.
And I want to thank Mrs. Christakis and Janet King and all the staff, your staff, for preparing this enormous I mean, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's tremendous work.
We'll
I
share-
read every page of it,
we'll
not just
share-
once, sometimes twice.
I'll personally share that compliment with
Right,
the
yeah,
team
yeah.
because it is a lot of work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and again, you'll take action on this later in the agenda.
Okay, and thank you so much. We appreciate all that you have done for us, and we do understand it a lot better the more we go over this, so thanks so much. 6.0, now again, we'll vote on this in action items, section 6.0, administrative reports. 6.1, amendments to board policy 1312.3, which is the uniform complaint procedures, and this is the second reading, and we will vote in the action item.
Yeah, and this will actually be your final reading of that board, so you'll be taking action to amend that policy. And that brings us to item 7.1, Dr. Hill.
All right, now we're ready for session 7, student achievement, targeted school support plan, also known as TSSP.
So you'll see that several of the cabinet members will speak to you on this topic. This is just a brief update. You know, you tasked us with ensuring that the predominant dollars are spent on the targeted schools, and the plan now reflects the board's direction to that extent. And so Dr. Volkermer will give you an update on what we've done with that, along with our other teammates.
Which item are we on?
We're on item 7.1, the
7.1.
TSSP, the Targeted School
Page
Support
17.
Plan. Yep.
7.1?
You got it. Yes, Dr. Hill. 6.0, Doctor?
Well, I thought it was the compliance. 6.0, we didn't, yeah, 6.0 is the compliance. We'll vote on action item.
Yeah, you'll take action in the action items, yes. Sorry, Doctor.
Good to go?
Great.
Thank you, Dr. Marsden. Board, what we're bringing back to you is a very brief update on the TSSP. If you go to, you should have a PowerPoint at the dais for you. And I'll turn your attention to page 2. As you know, we have a very well-defined and powerful community engagement plan that lists our priorities and our objectives as a school district that you've approved. So we always want to go back to our mission statement. What is it that we're supposed to be about that's going to take us to that next level? And so we always want to use that as our litmus test of are we headed in the right direction? And so I would point out just fairly quickly that first bullet that states that gauging students in a system distinguished by high expectations for student and staff performance. If you look at our TSSP, that notion or that concept is threaded all throughout the targeted school support plan. And so as we review these types of things, that's our test to make sure we're on the right track to say, are we really working to fulfill our community engagement plan of making sure that all of our kids, by the time they graduate, are college and career ready. So then we'll move on to page 3. And there's just a brief recap of the history of the board based on our CASP scores, asking us to design a plan that would increase student achievement. And our objectives this evening were to come back to you with some of the revisions that you've asked for. Number 1, new data and new schools. We do not have that this evening. We won't get our official CASP data until on or near July 1. So we're anticipating that sometime toward the end of next week, that data will come in its official form. We've gotten bits and pieces of raw data, but we really haven't gotten the official data yet. Once we do, we'll apply that criteria that we talked about last time, and we'll see how many schools meet that specific criteria. Could change a little bit. The schools could change if schools made significant gains. They may have worked their way out of that band. But we'll bring that back to you as soon after July 1 as we possibly can. And then what you asked us to do is revise the plan to focus and make sure that the dollars are spent primarily on those targeted schools, the 16 we originally identified, and that's where the majority of the funding is going, as well as the money that we had originally talked about in relation to the reorganization. the $850,000 and how we would apply that money as well to the targeted schools. And so Dr. Mitchell is going to cover slides 4 and I believe 5 in terms of how we've been able to think that through for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Volkmer. At the board's request, we originally had the $850,000 targeting all schools. If you'll kind of flip to page 5 real briefly, just wanted to show you where that money is reflected. If you look down at the top part of the page, probably 5 lines down, 3.3, where it says restructure, principal coaching and supervision. We originally had $850,000 dedicated to all of the schools. We've switched that just to the targeted schools, so we have not increased the total amount, but just redesignated. If you turn back to slide 4, what we plan on doing with the $850,000 is exploring or funding the School Administrative Managers Program, which is a program that takes a detailed task analysis of how the principal is spending their time, and then helps the principal develop systems to have other staff handle routine administrative tasks, operational tasks, facilities tasks. Right now, particularly at our elementary schools, our elementary principals deal with everything from a broken sprinkler to, a trash can overturned, to a custodian, not a substitute custodian not being sent. So we have our principals doing everything. What the SAMS model does for a very, very reasonable price is to help the principal, first of all, develop a real good sense of what they're doing with their time currently, and then working with their existing staff to create systems to where the operational needs of the campus aren't going straight to the principal. Where we're empowering classified and certificated staff to take on many of the routine and mundane issues that takes principals time. So that way they're more available to be in classrooms, observing classroom instruction, and helping to build the capacity of our instructional staff. The $640,000 that you have identified there are monies that we'll deploy after we do a very detailed needs assessment of our targeted schools. So we'll be looking at very detailed test data, operational data, doing very detailed classroom walkthroughs, looking at technology and supports, and teacher materials, and then from there, alongside with the school staff and teachers, develop a very detailed kind of action plan. And the 640 will help to fund some of those action plans, which may or may not include adding a co-administrator or adding additional technology needs or kind of pumping up the professional development or coaching supports. And so those dollars, that $850, we wanted to show you where we're deploying those dollars. If you turn to page 5, this is really just to demonstrate Janie and her team were able to delineate what dollars were going to the sites, to all of our schools in support of this TSSP model, and then to the board's request that the majority of these dollars be directed to our targeted schools. So if you look to your right, you'll see the full amount budgeted per those items. You'll see what's going to targeted schools and what's going to all the schools. If you go down to the bottom of the page, you'll see 80% of the $6.2 million is being directed to the 16 targeted schools, and 20% is being directed to all schools, and which also means that the dollars being directed to all schools also benefits the 16 targeted schools. So be happy to take any questions, Board.
Dr. Flores?
Yes. Thank you very much. I just want to let my colleagues on the board know that I attended, along with Dr. Hill, 3 days of the Principals Institutes, and it was really good. I really want to thank Dr. Mitchell for his leadership, and also Dr. Marsden. And I didn't get to see Dr. Wiseman present, but anyway, it was because I couldn't go the last 2 days. And I was very impressed with SAMS. I was very, very impressed with SAMS because it will give the principals not just a ballpark of what they're doing, it will then give them the analysis that they need so that they can then spend more instructional time. And then I'm glad to see that the needs assessment is going to be there. So I noticed that in every one of the 16 schools, Danny, that were identified, they didn't have VPs. So, when the
At every
principal.
one of them?
Huh?
At every one of them?
Just about every one of them, the elementary, just about all the elementary. And so if the principal is going to go in and do, instructional leadership or instructional, what are we calling it? Supervision, or not even supervision, just modeling and demonstrating, then, who's minding the store? And if you have a school like Gomez, it's about 700, that's a lot of kids. So I'm really glad to see that. It's really, really good.
You were glad to see what?
That there's money designated to, if there's needs
I think she's
assessments.
saying she's glad she sees that in there.
But
That
I
I
mean,
see this.
are they going to give vice principals?
If they see the need for them, yeah. That's where that money's gonna go, some of the money. And one of my concerns is looking at the K-3 early literacy. That's really key. And I know you're gonna revamp it, or if we have extra money, that's really critical in terms of getting our kids reading by 3rd grade. So it makes me a little nervous to see 0 there. But I know we're not going to keep it at 0. And I know that some of the principals know how to do that in terms of, looking at how to, I don't know all of them, but I know some of them have knowledge of early literacy. So I just wanted to make that more transparent. in terms
Dr.
of need.
Flores, if I can clarify for you, if you look at the slide 5 with the budget breakdown,
I am looking at it.
all of the 2s are dedicated to that K-3 early literacy. So you got that 2.2 there, and then you go down a little further in the page, another 2.2 that's highlighted. So the first 2.2 was 50,000, and then the second one was 450,000.
Oh, okay.
2.3. We're still managing it. We're still working on the cost, but we definitely have a.
Right. Oh, I
line
see.
item.
2.2, high-quality instructional practices. That includes material.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it also, we have to target K-3 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So thank you for bringing that up. We'll look into that and make sure that there's enough resources there to support that effort.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tillman?
I guess while we're on 2.2, and the same thing for 4.3, I don't understand where it says the amount, but then it says targeted schools 0. If they're going to get, I'm assuming the targeted schools are going to get something from everything that we do, right?
Absolutely. So
why is that 0?
Well, what we could have done is divide out the percentage of 16 schools out of our 77, and then that would have been an amount there. But the 50,000 covers our coaching costs. Let me make sure.
I just think we should make sure we show that every piece of it is going to have money going there.
Oh, I apologize.
And both.
So the 4.3 is related to administrators spending 2 days a week in the classroom. The targeted schools will be spending 3 days a week in the classroom. And so that's the cost for Edivate. And so Edivate is where we track and monitor our classroom observation time.
So I think,
and so that's for all schools.
But I think what Ms. Christowski said makes sense. She said 2.2 at the bottom and 2.2.
Yeah, and 2.2 at the top.
At the top is the same thing.
Yeah.
But at the bottom, you're showing how much is going to the targeted schools, and at the top, you're just showing the ones going to other schools.
No, at the top, we're showing what our ongoing costs, and at the bottom, we're showing what our one-time costs.
Oh, so some of this ongoing is for the targeted schools also?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's an overhead kind of an expense, a general and administrative type expense.
Absolutely. So the ongoing cost is the annual.
General and administrative up top. In other words, it has universal application.
Absolutely.
And the other items on the bottom have specific application to the target.
With targeted outcomes, that then in our previous presentations, we said that we would come back to the board to kind of renew these dollars as to serve additional schools or as schools improve.
And my last statement, I hope that we realize there's a sense of urgency, because when I hear you guys talk about coaching, I really think you can't fix everybody, and I hope you guys taking that same approach. And if you identify an administrator that has issues and has had issues, then that administrator shouldn't be at one of these schools that are struggling. It just has to be it has to be an immediate fix. I don't want to spend a year or two when the folks who are doing evaluation have the expertise or should have the expertise to determine whether or not the person has the potential to immediately impact that site. If you realize there's a problem there, you just got to take the person out of that site.
Yeah, it goes without saying.
Okay. Thank you. And then, other than that, I think it's great. And I think, too, I know we have it set up for one time and ongoing, but if we realize this is going to give us the results we want, and in the end, it does give us the results we want, and it costs us money every year, we got to find a way to, to do it every year.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tillman.
Ms. Rogers?
Thank you. And Mr. Tillman touched on my questions with the 2 zeros. I just was looking at just what the statements were, Dr. Mitchell, on those two. But of course, those supports are going to be included, right, in the 850. So I think my other question then was, I am glad to see this, the breakdown, how it's going to work out. However, I know that we're going to have a new set of schools come July 1st, and we'll see where we are then to see what those additional target, because these are just some examples of some things that the schools could be, experiencing, but I'm sure there is a lot more. So I'm just glad to see that we've separated out. We put the focus here, and we know that that's where we're going to be, and we won't have to revisit or start from scratch when we get back to July. We know, let's move forward. We have the money now. What are we looking at? So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
One thing I just want to mention, closing on this topic with the board, is we are, just so you're aware, we've been in a lot of conversation with Robert Rodriguez on this as well. Our intention is to work very closely with our union leaders, our district leaders, our site leaders, our teachers, our staff. This is not something we want to do to people. We want to do it with them. And so that's been extremely important to us. So just wanted to mention that. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Volkemer, for your presentation.
Dr. Mitchell, I have a question on 3.3, the restructuring principles, those at the bottom 16. Are they all going to be involved in the SAMS process, or has that meeting been held, or has it been addressed?
Yes, at our Principals Institute last week, we told the principals that we would make the program available, and we would, I don't think we mandated it, but we did say that we would make it available. Dr. Volkemer, I think you can address that.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. We actually did at the end of the session, we did an interest survey. We've received that information back. The principals of all 16 of our SAM schools did express interest in moving forward.
Right.
So we would have the funding to provide it to them.
Okay, and how soon will that be in effect?
We'll start discussions immediately.
Okay, good.
Great. I'm emailing Mark Schellinger, the CEO of SAMS, back and forth already.
Great, wonderful, thank you. Dr. Marsden?
Yes, so Dr. Hill, we have a public comment we've received, and Mr. Walter Greenwood Jr., the board welcomes you with your comment, sir. It's a question concerning the 2016-17 general fund expenditures. Welcome, sir. Yep, come on up to the podium here, sir, and the board welcomes your comments. Thank you for coming this evening.
First time at any one of these meetings.
Thank you. Is that, I'm not sure if this is on. Is that on? Okay, just put it close to your mouth.
Yeah, well, I wanted to thank you all for this opportunity. It's my first meeting. Something that Mr. Tillman said earlier kind of jarred my memory about the budget and how they look at the span from one time to the next. and he spoke about the increase and how they wanted to measure that. My question was, if there was an increase, where does those monies go? Is it something that could be put back right into the individual schools for children, or where does that go?
Yeah, and I appreciate your question. We actually had an overview of the budget a little bit ago, and I actually would be happy to sit down with you, have somebody from our staff kind of walk you through what we just shared with the board. But in short, when we get more dollars through the state's local control and accountability plan, we then engage our community in conversation about how are we going to spend those additional dollars. We've got a lot of great input that has led to some incredible outcomes that we've began to list. We couldn't even list them all tonight. Things like 38 of our elementary schools going forward with AVID, for example, and hiring additional teachers to reduce class sizes. And this board has taken action to have some of the smallest schools of any large urban in the entire state of California. So there's a lot of significant action the board's taken when they have gotten additional dollars. Much of that was discussed this evening. I hope that helps.
Let me add to what he said, because what you're talking about, I think, is after the budget closes and any balances are realized, what do you do with that money?
Right.
And it depends on the circumstances. In the past, when we had tight budget problems, we're making cuts, then that money was used to fill some of the gaps, so we didn't have to lay off as many people. And it didn't go back to the sites. We had a term for it. We swept those accounts at the end of the year and used it to help balance the budget. On some of the items, they say if it's a range of 15%, then you'll be able to roll that over. But the goal is to spend this year's money on this year's students.
Okay.
And my philosophy is you can't go back and spend money on a kid in the 5th grade. Once he's out of the 5th grade, it's over.
Right.
So I don't think it's fair to not spend the money is budgeted for this year. You have to spend it on this year's students.
Right, that's my question. I thought it was huge that increase that you spoke about. I mean, that was a lot of money.
Sometimes it is.
Right, and I was kind of concerned, does it go back to the individual schools? Does it go for, back when I was a kid, way back when, there were a lot of programs where you could actually work on campus to learn about, being in the work industry, working day to day. Those are the kind of things that I was concerned about. If those monies are available, could they come back to the students, to programs like we had before? So thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Greenwood. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming this evening. Those are all the comments from the public board. I think it's session 8.
8.0, reports and comments. San Bernardino Teachers Association. Welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Hill and members of the board, Dr.
Good
Marston and Cabinet.
Good evening.
I'm Robert Rodriguez speaking on behalf of the San Bernardino Teachers Association. And for tonight's report, we want to thank the Board of Education for ratifying our tentative agreement today. We sincerely appreciate all of your work and the district and their leadership in getting that accomplished and ratified in a very expeditious timeline. I think it's going to really help put us on the map in terms of moving towards being the best in this area so that we can recruit and retain all of our certificated employees. This wage increase does address all of our salary schedules. It does include longevity steps to keep our people here. It attracts people, and it also has a very robust extra duty schedule, which falls into all of our coaches' stipends and academic stipends as well. And so we want to strongly encourage the district and the other employee groups to continue to move forward in reaching their tentative agreements as well, so that all of our employees really start getting that robustness going all the way around. I also wanted to comment on Ms. Christakos for the budget. When she talked about the early childhood block grant, the California Teachers Association actually lobbied pretty hard in both chambers of the Senate and the Assembly to pull transitional kindergarten out of that block grant. What that bill was going to do is put everything, so the early childhood dollars, preschool and transitional kindergarten all together, whereas if it's pulled out, we can actually receive ADA for those students. So for a district like San Bernardino, we offer preschool separately. We offer early childhood services, and then we also offer transitional kindergarten. We have several units throughout the district, so it is an investment for us. So if you feel like calling your legislator and asking them to vote in support of that separation, it'd be a really great thing, and we are looking for additional bills in order to kind of make sure that we keep that sustainable funding so that transitional kindergarten is viewed as any other grade like kindergarten, 9th grade, 12th grade, and we receive those funding dollars. On the targeted school support plan, Dr. Marston and I have been collaborating on that, and we do offer our support in terms of bringing the voice of the teachers and those impacted schools as well as other schools. Some suggestions that have come forward on items 2.2, on both the ongoing and the one-time adjusted amounts for high-quality instructional practice. And this doesn't need to be answered now, but in the future, what does that look like? And who's going to decide what we're using it for? If we're going to use it for the purchasing and sustaining of a database like Edivate, then we need to call it that. Edivate is an observation tool form that's used for supervision. It offers suggestions for teachers to look at professional development strategies in the form of videos. That's more of a supervision and a professional development item than it is really high quality instructional practices. So it's something to look at to see how we're funding it and ways in which we can maybe adjust it. Another area is in the summer school line item of 7.2 that lists $800,000. You know, is this supplementing or supplanting dollars? Because we do have a variety of summer school programs that are listed in the LCAP plan in all of our subgroup areas. So we want to make sure that, you know, it doesn't fall into that duplication of services, but that we're not saying we're going to pay for it here and then not over there. And then lastly, on the K-3 early literacy is an investment. It's the one thing we do when we put our money up front. We're really good in education about investing our dollars after the fact. So we wait to fail, and then we start putting all the money in what we call intervention programs. And consultants and firms, everybody has made quite a lucrative living of saying, we're going to come and help your kids. Well, if we invest in those dollars early on, then we go ahead and we intervene before that. We make the investment so we don't need it later on in 4th and 5th grade. So it's just a suggestion of something to think about as we continue to rebuild and move forward on the targeted school support plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robert. California School Employees Association. How are you, Mr. Greenwood? Good, thanks.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Wiseman for giving us time today to sit down and meet and discuss over some things that we haven't been able to discuss for many months. One of those things were the fact that the way we receive each other, the way we talk to each other, when we're in negotiations, is turning into an adversarial type of issue. And we both have agreed that that's something that needs to come to an end, and we have some ideas on how we're going to move forward with that in the future. So that was very good to discuss today. Our people, our classified workers, are also concerned with the professional development monies. We have a lot of our folks who come to us daily who are in one field like custodial, but they want to go into plumbing, they want to go into electrician shops and things such as that. So we haven't seen that much professional development on that end. And we're really having an issue trying to retain our workers and keep our workers here. So if we have a program for classified workers to go into classified jobs, they'll stay here because they'll feel vested here. Superintendent called me today, and we had some words. We had a pretty good conversation, and that is the way that we should always act. We need to turn around and bring back that level of communication, a phone call. Well, where are you at with this? How do you feel about that? Because we have so many people in the district who are going off just spreading a lot of negative energy. So if we can work together and say, no, I've already spoken with the superintendent, I've already spoken with Dr. Wiseman, this is the truth, instead of everybody going their own way. So if we can get back to that, that would be great. I believe we can work through anything, no matter how difficult it is, if we work through it. If we set guidelines and deadlines. A lot of times, both sides, including the CSEA, we get together and we have a meeting and we have a plan, but we never finish the plan. So we need to go back to setting guidelines, dates, and times when this plan is going to be over, and then take those 4 or 5 issues that we were working on and take them off the books. Then we handle the next 4 or 5 issues and maybe quarterly report to the board and say, this is what we've done, This is what we've accomplished, and this is where we're going. So that's something I would really like to see, us do. And I'm not only here saying that it's a district issue, it's an issue for the district, it's an issue for the CSEA, and I won't tolerate a CSEA person disrespecting anybody in negotiations, so they won't be on my team. So, we're looking for the same thing in return. And I think that we can get our negotiations done and over with if we can stop the infighting.
Great.
So
That's great.
if you could help me with that, I'd appreciate it. And as far as the percentages that we have been offered, it's really, really low. It's kind of disgusting the way it came out. But we need to know that we're all workers. We all work hard. Whether you're a teacher or whatever you are, we're all here for the same thing, and it's to educate the children. So we'll be negotiating here on Thursday, and I hope that we can come to some kind of happy medium and come to the table on both sides, ready to work. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments.
Communication Workers of America. Is Ron on vacation again? He knows how to live. It's okay.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Dr. Marston, and board members, and Dr. Hill.
Good
How are
evening.
you?
I'd like to say that Ron is on vacation. He is on vacation in San Diego at SeaWorld, something having to do with some pass that teachers can get for a year if they go to SeaWorld this month after filling out some paperwork on a computer. I haven't had a chance to do that because I'm in too many other crazy things in my life going on. But the first thing I'd like to do is say thank you for approving our reopener. Appreciate it. It was a lot shorter this time than it was last time, which I appreciate. A long time the last time. And I want to say thank you especially for the raise you gave our retired teachers who are our guest teachers. They are the wealth and expertise. They give a lot of wealth. They get a lot of wealth in their education that they have, as well as their expertise to the students that they teach. They are worth every penny. And we do have one of those retired teachers in our audience. Her name is Telma Hill. And she is not only a credentialed teacher, she retired from this district. She teaches also both in English and in Spanish, so she's bilingual. That's another important area that we should think about giving retired bilingual teachers, especially those that work with the students in our district, since the majority of them seem to be speaking of the Spanish language. We're also going to talk about the fact that at one time we were told we were the highest paid substitutes in the area. We found out we were different. We're not. I think we're like third or fourth compared to other districts, which we thought was interesting because for like years we've been told we were the highest paid until we did some research. Actually, I did the research and found out that we weren't. Now, the other thing that there was talking about too is the fact that we only have 562 substitutes signed up for this year, and they want 900. And I'm beginning to think that maybe it's because there's something missing. Maybe it's medical, maybe it isn't. I've heard two different versions of it. Some people think that we should be getting medical to those people that sub for over 100 days during the year. They should have the opportunity to have medical. Because I think Los Angeles has that opportunity. If somebody works 100 days in 1 year, they offered to have medical the next year for themselves. And maybe there can be some way of allowing the family involved, giving some sort of a half and half, where the sub pays half and the district pays another half. Anyway, this is an idea. I think that's about all I'm going to talk about now, but thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Hopefully I'll
much.
have an opportunity to go to SeaWorld, but I don't know, my wife's not that thrilled about going. And she says, she's told me that so many times already, and I'm looking at it and going, well, that's an interesting idea. But after the day I've had today, I'm beginning to think maybe it's not a great idea. You ever have one of those days where everything goes wrong? I had one of them. My daughter even had to bring me my keys, my spare keys, because I locked myself out of my car
Oh, my
when I
goodness.
got here.
Wow.
But then everything gets good again.
Yes, my daughter brought me my keys, and everything gets good again. And all I have to do is find my flash drive with all my information on it, and I'll be okay. Thank
There
you very
go.
much.
Hey, have a
Thank
great
you.
summer.
Thank you now. San Bernardino School Police Officers Association. No report. San Bernardino School Managers. No report. Board Superintendent Protocols Number 10. Shall I read it first? During public comment, board members will not discuss matters brought by citizens that are not on the published agenda. Board members may express appreciation and/or ask questions for clarification on comments made, and if appropriate, may refer the matter to the superintendent for future follow-up.
And Dr. Hill, that's the reason why I don't think we should have this item on here, because it sounds like we're being chastised at the end of every meeting.
I can't hear you, Dan.
I said, I don't think this item should be here because it sounds like we're being chastised at every meeting. We don't have any other items on here where we talk about, openly talk about concerns or protocol. It's not board and superintendent protocol, it's really board protocols. We're not talking about protocols associated with the superintendent to ensure that all the things we think a superintendent should do is listed here. We're not talking about other administrators every night with a list of things we think they should be doing. We're not talking about other staff about a list of things they should be doing. And so it's not positive. I mean, we're adults and we understand what the protocols are. I can see if you can give it to us every 6 months or once a year, but to talk about it every night, I just don't think it's a positive thing. And to me, they're controversial, and we all don't agree on them. So it ends up being you read them, and I don't know what the purpose is.
Well,
If I could.
Sure.
I think it's a matter of a reminder of things, because as we take a look at this, at public comments, the board members will not discuss matters brought by citizens. And in the 4 years and few months I've been on here, it doesn't happen that often, but occasionally we make commitments to people in the public that we really don't have any right doing.
And you think reading this is going to change that?
Well, I mean, it should, if we pay
It's not,
attention to it.
but it's not.
Okay, all right.
And that's the reason why I don't know why it's on here. I don't know why we have to discuss it every night. We can read these protocols. I mean, you can list all of them. It's not going to make a difference.
Yeah, Mr. Tillman, if I can, I think it actually you make a great point. And I actually think we should pull them from the agenda for this reason. The protocols you have listed here right now are for the former board. They're not this current board's protocols. And on the 26th of July, you'll have a conversation among yourselves where you'll determine what are your protocols.
Okay, and Dr. Flores?
And I think that I agree with Mr. Tillman. It's in a way very condescending.
It is.
Because the agenda is the board's. It's not the superintendent's. It is our agenda. We are the ones that are the elected officials. And to have it here, if appropriate, may refer the matter. No, we direct the superintendent if a consensus of the board decides to do that. Because you work for us. You work for the public. We are the elected officials. And so it's very condescending because may refer, no. You know, that's inappropriate. I mean, it's not, it's condescending. So I agree with you, Mr. Tillman, and I agree with you, Dr. Marsden. We have to revamp this. And I also think we don't need to be reminded every board meeting. We could just, once we develop our protocols, we just have them in front of us.
Sure.
And it is the president's duty to, put us in place or to, if we get out of hand, to bring us back to the fold in terms of if we're not behaving properly.
Okay, Margaret, you can intervene now.
Well, and Ms. Rod, and I know you haven't finished, Dr. Flores, and I was not.
Thank you for interrupting me, Mr. Gallo.
I was not dealing with the protocol, but I was just dealing with the public comments, because sometimes I do cringe up here.
Right.
When people come there and they say things, and we'll say, we hear you and we'll take care of it, and.
Well, Danny and Mike and
but we
myself,
can't-
we've been presidents.
Well, I
And-
know you have.
Yeah.
And I have also, but I try to follow protocols and Robert's rules and those types of things. But I do know that when people come to the public and say something, and I've heard us up here, and I'm probably as guilty as anybody else, to say some things, no, I'm not, because I don't. But,
You do.
no, I don't. I say things such as, well, we'll take care of it. And we don't take care of it because it's not our job. That's why we pay the superintendent who instructs his
Well,
cabinet.
that's
to
why
take
we get a
care of it.
consensus to direct the superintendent to do it.
Yeah, but it's not a consensus when we say to someone at the podium.
But we
"Oh,
do
we're gonna-
ask for
We're going to take
consensus."
care of it. But if we ask for consensus, that's a different thing.
Right.
But when we don't, then we are.
Well, then the president, needs to say, do I have consensus from the board?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think it'll happen under my presidency, because if you're saying something where you're obligating the superintendent to staff it, it may not be something that can be dealt with. I could certainly say the consensus with, let's refer it to the superintendent.
Right, that's what I
But
meant.
not saying we're going to.
No, that's what I meant,
Right.
to refer it to or direct the
Yeah, I
superintendent.
have no problems.
Yeah,
doing
that's
that.
what I meant.
Okay. Ms. Rogers?
So I agree, whether it stays or whether it goes, it comes down to us following whatever the protocols are. And so as we sit here, we have a president, and I am new, and Scott can speak for himself, but Scott is new also. So we have not been on this board. We've been on other boards, but if we don't set the precedence of what it is, then we adopt whatever it is that we see. And so if we're going to revisit this, and then it becomes, so we're familiar, I think that's something you should probably do every year or every time new people are on the board, so going forward, we know. But I do agree with the fact that we're reminding each other all the times of our roles. And I don't know how necessary that is, that we have to keep saying who does what or who doesn't do what. And then again, the public is watching us, and the public comes before us. And if we step out of our roles, we can't take it back. Then it's hard to take it back. So I'm in total agreement with us. What is that date again, Dr. Martin?
July 26th.
Yeah, July 26th. I've been kind of waiting for July 26th, so we can get that understood, and then we can, have a little bit more continuity as what we're saying, because each one of us have a different role. We come from a different place. We're on the board for a different reason. We're elected for different reasons and things that we do bring to the board. But if we get caught up in the other details, then, how do you catch up with just saying who's been on the board longer or what, skills? I only have the skills that I have, but those are good listening skills among anything else. So I do want to definitely show protocol, because I know I can speak for when I leave off this dais, and I'm in the community all the time, and I don't like it when the community comes and say, oh, well, there's a problem, and there really wasn't a problem, but the perception was that there was a problem. So they were more focused on how we behaved versus the issue at hand, that we were trying to say that we are trying to be up here for number one reason, and that's for students. And so sometimes, we take it a little personal, but at the end of the day, we have to put that out of the way and say, how does this go back to what we're trying to accomplish for students? And how can we get Dr. Marsden to do what his job is with the tools that he has? And to be able to listen and say what he can or cannot do, and then agree to how do we make it happen for the students. Thank you.
And Dr. Flores, your light's still on. I didn't know.
Mine is on too.
Well, I know, but
Yes, I just wanted to say that I won't be here on the 26th. I'm taking vacation, which I never take. And so I will be gone on the 26th because we have a meeting on the 12th and the 19th. So I took the last week for vacation. So I won't be available on the 26th.
so I think we need to reschedule it because I think it's important that we're all there if we possibly can.
Yeah,
Okay,
we can look into that.
if you could, good. A consensus to reschedule, trying to follow protocol.
Well, I'm not going to attend, but Dr. Hill, are you going to call him?
I am, Mr. Tillman, but first we need consensus that we can change July 26th because we want Dr. Flores with us. Okay?
Well, we have to have a date where we can all move it to, Dr. Hill.
And there were a lot of things on that calendar that day, too. I had a budget workshop, a teacher pre-service thing, English learner program, I don't, but
We'll look into it.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, great. Mr. Tillman?
You know, the reality is, we're elected as board members, and there's laws that govern what we can and can't do. And I understand the protocols, and, I mean, tonight was a perfect example. When a young lady came down and talked about the air filters, I did want to send an immediate response that majority of this board was probably in favor of making sure that the students get filters. Now, I didn't commit to anything, but I did say we want to agendize it. And as an individual board member, I don't have a problem saying that I support having filters. And it makes a difference. If the board doesn't respond, then sometimes people take that as us not being attentive or that we don't agree with people are asking for, and that could lead to them going out and thinking they have to generate more support for their cause. That's just one concern I have, even with this specific protocol. So when we get the protocols, the way I think they should be used is you get the protocols, we read over them, and everybody's going to interpret it their own way. If it ever got to a point where a board member was totally out of line, then you'd go down the line of censoring and a whole bunch of stuff like that. But I don't understand why, even if you create new protocols, and then we were going to, so if we create a new 20, we're going to have to read one every board meeting for what? I don't understand that. It shouldn't be agendized. We don't do it with anyone else. It says board and superintendent. We do not have a list of things that we think the superintendent should do for sure. And we don't even do it when we think there's some concern. We don't say that we think that the only items that should come before the board are items that the board has discussed or agendized, or things shouldn't be on consent item. I could give you a whole list of protocols I want to make sure the superintendent adheres to. But would it behoove us to do it at the board meeting and read it every night? I even hear the superintendent say himself, you compliment in public, and I don't go along with it, but compliment in public and, what's the word, Dr. Marsden? Compliment in public and,
Criticize.
yeah, there you go, and criticize, whatever. But I'm just saying, I don't think we should have an item that says protocols and talk about it every night. We shouldn't.
And I think that's what I'm hearing from pretty much everybody. We need protocol, and I understand these were done, and Mr. Tillman, you've been around long enough that you probably helped come up with these, but I hear what you're saying. We need protocols, but we do not need them at every
And
meeting.
that's the part that's new.
But we need to follow protocol.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, too. I think you guys need to follow protocol, yes.
Okay.
I'm just playing.
Follow Danny's protocol, right?
All right. Have we had enough discussion? All right, thank you. 8.7, comments by board members.
By the way, did that subtract from the time of every board member's
Yes.
time today?
I think is that consensus?
I don't know,
So
what's
far,
the
Dr.
protocol
Flores-
say?
Dr. Flores had her light first.
I hope you are attentive because I have lots to share. The first one is support of the EDGE initiative. And the EDGE initiative is education for a global economy. And in there, CTAs supporting it, Access supporting it, CSBA is supporting it, CLSBA is supporting it, Californians Together is supporting it, CABE is supporting it. And it's an initiative to adopt a resolution of the revision of Prop 227. And at the end, you have a resolution. And so I'm proposing that, we consider, as a board, also passing support of this initiative. Given that we're a multilingual, we're going to pass the multilingual, oh, did we pass it already? The multilingual initiative? Dr. Marsden, did we pass it already? The multilingual
Yes.
initiative? Yeah, we did. So it goes hand in hand, and it's for the global economy, et cetera. And it also goes hand in hand with, the EL master plan that we're going to approve tonight, and the recommendation to go to maintenance, and also to add a third language option for our students. And I think it's, whether it's Arabic, whether it's Chinese, whether it's French, whether it's whatever third language our kids, and parents are interested in. I think that goes along with it. So that's that. I also wanted to apprise the board to consider us perhaps supporting a resolution for the facilities bond that's going before the voters as an initiative, and so forth. And also the extension of Proposition 30 with the monies that we've been getting, because it's going to end. When is it going to end? Does anyone know, Ms. Christakos?
And Robert would know, I think the first part of it, the smaller tax, ends next year. And then the following year is the larger tax.
And I believe CTA is strongly supporting this. So it would be great for us to, provide a resolution in favor of it and send it forth. Last night, Scott, Abigail, Margaret, and I, and Dr. Marsden attended the reception for the New Mexican Consulate, Consul Rosas. And I think it's just really great. It's a great opportunity. I don't know if Dr. Marsden has told everybody, but he's going to be the honorary chair of the next CABE conference in Anaheim this coming March. And we're also going to be the site for a binational GLAD professional development. And that's a great kudo for us because we've invested in GLAD. And the binational professional development that we're going to be engaging in is so exciting because they're going to use us as a pilot, and they want to duplicate this in Mexico and many other states. So I'm really proud of that, and it's really, really, really an opportunity for us. I want to also congratulate our schools, our principals, our students. 1,335 of our students got $6,534,942 was in our board correspondence. That's tremendous. That is just such a great accomplishment for our kids. Yesterday, I attended Californians Together board meeting because I'm president of the California Latino School Boards member and affiliate of that. They bring forth all kinds of policies and legislation that are related to English language learners in the state. And LTELs are late our kids that are long-term English language learners. We have quite a few. I think we have 6,000 in our district, which is not good. And so they're recommending several. I'll bring it forth later and share it with Dr. Marsden so we can share it in a board correspondence. But you know, we have to really target our kids, and I was glad to see that in our Title III plan that we have, that we are targeting them. So that was very, very good. I already asked Dr. Hill if I could have extra time. She said, yeah. So, anyway.
I'm sorry,
What protocol
Dr. Hill,
is
you
that, Doctor?
violated the protocol.
I cleared it with her.
There are some exceptions. Continue, Dr. Flores.
Yes. You have to have consensus, okay. Anyway, I have just like 2 more things. And, but I'm really, really glad that we're moving in this manner. And I think, you know, our LCUP monies are moving forward. We're targeting our Title III monies, our Title I monies, the combination of our funds towards these goals. So I'm, you know, really, really good. We just got to keep doing it and moving. The next 2 are, don't get, like, they're not that controversial, but I am going to propose 2 things for us to consider as a board. And I have asked for this before, to extend our tenure, to even years 2018. Those of us, we've been asked to move from odd year elections to even year elections. It's up to this board to decide and vote on it. So I would like to get consensus, Madam President, to place that agenda item on one of our agendas so that we can move forward on that. And then also, this is a working board. I'm just addressing the public. This is a very, I don't know how many hours we spend. We spend hours in meetings. We go to schools. We have meetings with our organizations. We have meetings with our teachers. We have workshops. We have board workshops. We have additional, we represent our board in many different places, et cetera. And I would like for us to increase, to explore increasing our monthly, everybody's getting a raise, and I would like us to explore increasing our monthly allotment and stipend. And all of us, you know, we go many places, and we don't get travel money.
We don't, gasoline, right?
We don't get gas money.
use
We
our own
don't.
gasoline.
Yeah. no.
Transportation.
Well, if we travel to a conference perhaps, but.
But around the district.
around to many different things. Anyway, I just think that, I mean, it may be controversial to the public, but I think that we deserve it. We work hard, and we work for you. And so anyway, it wouldn't be enormous, just, you know, very, what's the word? Very, what? Generous? No. Commensurate with what we do. So that's a very good one. Okay. So that's the end.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All
Yes.
right, and I have this when I speak about agendizing the change in the elections. Ms. Rogers, and then we'll go to you, Dr. Wyatt.
All right. My first comment is I had an opportunity, I didn't get to go several days, but I did get a chance to go over to the Principals Institute on Friday, and it was very good. Dr. Wiseman did a great job. I had an opportunity to even go and sit at each table and actually interact with the principals, and it was very good. And just the energy that was there, and the big gigantic book that you had was great. It had a lot of information in it. They were really dissecting it and really looking forward to the next upcoming school year. So I thought it was great because those are our principals. Those are the ones that are going to be touching our students, and they were really excited about it and really engaged. So even on that note, I'm not sure who's overseeing it, but I just want to bring it to your attention again that there's concerns as to when we're going to fill Sierra as well as the Pacific vacancy. So I don't know if there's information on that or update on it where we are with that, but there is concerns, especially as the new year is approaching. We want to make sure that there is some leadership that is there. Are you gonna-
Yeah, and we can update you on where we are.
Okay. And then another, I know we've talked about this, probably Dr. Flores, probably Abigail, all of us at different times. It came up during election time, it's coming back up again, and that's ethnic studies. I don't know where that lies, but I know I've been invited to a meeting to discuss it, and I definitely would like to know some information before I'm able to talk to the public and let them know where we are, because it's been a while.
Well, you will have Dr. Mitchell reach out to you and then also inform the board as a whole.
Great. And then I talked with a couple of parents when we talked to our charter schools, and of course, I'm still trying to understand how the relationship is with the charter schools. But there are a couple of charter schools that don't necessarily have playgrounds, or it's not accommodating to students for their activities. So I don't know if that's a requirement, a non-requirement, but a parent did ask me the question, and I said that I would bring that.
We can get that answer to you.
You want to, okay, great, okay. And then a couple of events that I did attend, it was again great to see that our San Bernardino City Unified police officers were being honored over at the National Orange Show. That was great. We had a good time. I think all of the board members were there. I believe the food was great, but it was just an honor. Again, we've gotten so much recognition for some of the things, many of the things that we're doing in the community. The community is noticing, and I'm very happy to be a part of that. Also, when it comes to community, it's very important as we are extending out to the community, our schools, and an opportunity for our students to be there in safe space. And I know Mr. Porkert is not here tonight, but I know for sure San Bernardino High School has been extended out during the summer. He confirmed with me for the swimming pool. So that's good, and I know they reported that out in the community, because again, everyone's looking to see how we can move our youth during the summer months to positive, safe locations. So that is great. And having said that, I had an opportunity to attend the Peace Festival that was done over at Hunt Elementary, and it was over 400 people in attendance there. But just that principal, what is her name again? The principal? Say again?
Chris
Collins, yes. Just extended just an open arm to the community, and that was absolutely great. There was no incidents, had a good time. And then the last thing, I did attend another event, and I was just, I couldn't believe the title of the award and who was getting the award. And it was something to the tune of ethical leadership in business or something like that. And he's even being unethical right now because he's not listening to me. But I just want to say to you, Mike, Mike, good job. I'm going to teach you how to whisper and all those other things, but congratulations on your award. It was great. He claimed he was going to be lost for words. We were like, oh, really? But he got up. He kind of cut it short, and he actually was celebrating his anniversary that day, so. We sent our condolences.
Middle school again? What was your mascot? Would you tell me that again?
It's a cardinal. That's the one that matters.
I see.
So that was my experience. We had some great activities, and that is, my report.
Thank you. Dr. Wyatt?
Well, first of all, I just kind of want to piggyback a little bit off of Dr. Flores in regards to our school board that we have here for our district. I want to say it's definitely a privilege to be a part of such a fine group and a dedicated group of professionals to our children, our staff, and our community. When I initially ran for school board, I'll be honest with you and say I didn't really know what I was getting into, other than I wanted to make a difference in our district and our city. I've learned a lot since then in the last 6 months, and I would definitely say that this group of folks is probably one of the most dedicated group of individuals I've ever worked with in regards to wanting to make a difference. And I consider it a privilege to be with them. with that, Dr. Flores is right. I had no idea how many events would actually come up and we go to. There are a phenomenal number of events. I consider it almost another job on top of my job, but it's a job that I love doing, though, because we are making a difference, and we are making a difference in our community, and specifically to our kids. That's what we're here for. I've always said it starts and ends in the classroom for me, and I can assure you my colleagues feel the same way. That leads to also kind of the tone that is out there in our community. When I mean our community, not just our local community, but when I'm traveling throughout different counties in the state, and they say, "What do you do?" At some of these conventions and some of these conferences we go to, and I say, "Oh, I'm an educator, but I'm very fortunate to be a board member as well for San Diego City." And it's amazing how often, more than not, and I mean most of the time, that they're like, "Wow, I've heard nothing but great things about what San Diego City Unified School District is doing. I heard you have a great superintendent and a phenomenal executive cabinet and a phenomenal board." And I said, "Well, we have a phenomenal team is what we have, and that's why things are getting done." And I anticipate that a lot more is going to get done in the next few years and many years to come, because this team right here is dedicated. So I really appreciate the reputation that San Bernardino City Unified School District is developing out there, not just in the local community, but up and down the state. With that being said, I want to thank our local school police again, as we have heard recently from Gwen, that they were providing supervision, additional supervision, for our first inaugural San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools graduation that we had just recently and last Friday, and they were there. They're there helping out, and they're part of city schools, we're part of county schools, but it was nice to walk out and see our school police there just lending a helping hand. So, Chief, thank you to you and your officers as well for being there. I went out without a hitch, no problems, but it was nice to have you there.
Yeah, those county officials, their behavior, huh?
Almost as bad as some school board members, Mr. Gallo. Yeah, not quite, though. But, and also want to thank Ray Culberson for being, the city representative dignitary, for being there. That's his group of kids that he works with, our at-risk alt-ed kids. And, we graduated 36 kids, and we planned on 10. So we far exceeded our own goal. And, again, it's due to the great partnerships that we have with city schools as well and our local service providers. So just my hats off again to the job that's being done here in San Bernardino City Unified School District.
Thank you. Ms. Medina?
Since you did mention Ray Culberson, actually there was the SARB Appreciation Luncheon, which was really nice. We had our chief there, Ray Culberson. It was when was that?
Just last week.
It was last week. It was really nice because what they had was really good food, but for the volunteers, they recognized the many volunteers, and also your wife's aunt is also one of the volunteers.
That's right, yeah.
And she's really involved in helping our kids and our families because they also work with the families. And so I wanted to say congratulations to all the awardees from the SARB Appreciation Luncheon. I also want to mention that I was also part of the Consul de Mexico. It's good to have good representation here in San Bernardino. And of course, they reach out to Riverside. But it's great because we have many families, minority families, from Mexico, and they have a great resource to go to. They also offer educational programs. This is not just where you get your matriculación, which is getting the visas, but it also helps with different educational programs that they offer families. And I also want to mention LULAC Youth Health Ambassador Banquet, which was really nice. Yes, that was really nice. And what I loved about it is that at the end of the day, so they're raising money in order to go to Sacramento and Washington, D.C., and learn leadership skills. But what I loved is that at the end of the day, they provided a presentation on the need and the importance of health care for all families. And the reason why is because preventive care is a lot cheaper than having to go at the end of the day into an emergency room and accumulate all those costs. So it was a great way. These kids were very articulate. There actually are students that are involved and doing these kind of presentations. I want to send a kudos to them. They did an amazing job.
Thank you. Mr. Gallo?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hill. I just have one line item. It happens to be on drone licensing and things, and I want this board, I think, I don't know if the board needs to, maybe consensus or something, but to authorize the district to pursue licensing authorization to fly drones as part of a program that we'd sure like to see as integrated and embedded as part of a career pathway approach here. We've been working with San Andreas High School on GIS mapping systems. Well, there's integrations with drone technologies that have the GIS ARC software packages that can take 4K videos and embed GIS pins and maps on this, and it's great career pathways for all of our kids and everything. And when you start looking at the big picture on these things, on our demand industry sectors and the demand occupations within those sectors, the entire logistics and transportation industry is really moving towards drone technologies. It's actually there already from a technological standpoint, in that 747s and the big aircraft are basically flying by themselves anyway. And so we're going to be seeing sooner than later autonomous aircraft delivering packages not only last mile from our Amazon warehouses to various homes. You've seen television commercials on that as it is already. But you're going to be seeing some of these large cargo transport aircraft done autonomously through drone operations. I'll be Thursday up in Palmdale's Drone Operations Control Center for worldwide operations done right here in Southern California. So this is a reality where it's going. We sure love to have our students participate in some of this. Now, I know that you've seen some FAA requirements that licenses need to be, and rulemaking needs to be established and things like this. I'm actually on the industry advisory committee that is helping the FAA determine these federal requirements and rules. And we now have a set of criteria out that you can apply for licenses. In fact, the city of San Bernardino Police Department just got its license about two or three weeks ago. And I'd like to see us actually do that for this district as well. I know that we, in some of even the elementary schools, we got the little tiny drones that people in our classrooms are actually flying, like at Norton Elementary and stuff. The kids are having a blast do this stuff. But really to take it to the next level and get it integrated as part of a certification program, licensed drone pilot operators, and things like this that can engage our special education populations all the way up through, our future rocket scientists. So many of you know that I do this as part of my business. We do some of the large United States military applications, mostly drone operations and things like this. So there's career pathways here. I'd like to see us pursue that. I don't know that it really takes a big effort. It's simply an application process, but those rules have been established, and I'd like to see us, or ask my colleagues for consensus on just pursuing that license. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tillman?
Nothing, thank you.
By the way, I take no comment as consensus. Is that right?
Well, and Mr. Gallo, if I can,
do that when I got my chance.
if I can help, also, Mr. Gallo, I think it's easy for staff when we meet these needs for pathways to go forward. The board's already taken action to approve our community engagement plan. And a key component of that plan is our career pathways work. And so really, you've already done that. I think it goes without saying that we would put that into play unless there's some other direction the board has.
Yeah, and I'd be happy to assist in whatever, whatever
Well,
paperwork. you
if
need
it
to-
costs money, then we have to approve
Yeah,
it.
it's, there's a nominal fee.
And you've
but it's an
already approved
application
dollars for
process,
career
right.
pathways, so it's no additional cost.
Yeah.
We can do this.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Okay. So Dr. Flores? Oh, I see, you got your light off. Okay. Oh, okay, thank you. All right, so what I'm hearing, if we can get consensus on a few things. One, changing the election to even years.
Yeah, we can look into that for you.
All right, the second one is,
Well, we actually have no choice, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
Isn't
mean,
it a law?
whether it's a law or whether it isn't, excuse me, we have that authority. Because I was on the board and so was Danny when we shifted it to odd years, and there was no law, we just did it, correct?
I know, but there is a law on the books now
Yeah.
that requires us to do it.
Right.
So our plan has already been in play to brief you as a board on what is the law, what are your next steps. So we will bring that to you at the most timely possible point for you to do that.
Right, I understand that, but I'm saying to my board members that we can do it on our own if we want to, if that's what we decide to do.
Yeah, and I go along with hearing the reason why. 'Cause I don't want to switch, to be honest with you, but if we have to legally, then we switch.
Okay. So if you're in opposition, shall we agendize it to discuss, or should we just move forward with it?
We're already planning to agendize it for you as a board.
Okay, thank you. The second one was agendize an increase in stipend for board members.
If we could, ask you as a board to let me look into that for you, bring you a recommendation, and then go from there in terms of
And
next
the max is $750 anyway.
Say again?
I'm sorry?
The max is $750, and I don't know where so we're probably close to that already.
Yeah, we'll look into it and bring you a recommendation, board. We can do that.
Mr. Gallo's gonna donate all of his back.
And I understand we do not have to do anything with flying the drones because it's already in the
Correct.
career pathways.
And the other things you're following up.
Okay, I just want to I'm just going to talk about one school, which I talk about probably more often than I should, and that's St. Andreas High School. The students there it's my understanding they're spending this week or next week with Esri, and then at the end of the week, they're going to San Diego to do a presentation.
Correct.
Wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. Just so proud of all of our students. Want to compliment Chief Polino. He did speak this morning at a nonprofit organization and talked about the things that's happened with citation. Very well received. Usually the presentations are about 15 minutes, and a half an hour later, people were still asking questions and wanting to hear more and more. So I just want to say thank you for that. Talked to several principals after the Principal Institute, and they just felt this was one of the best they've ever had. A lot of good compliments. They're jazzed about moving forward, trying some new things. Many of them talked about SAMs, et cetera. I just want to thank the cabinet, superintendent, the cabinet, and all of our staff members, classified and certificated, because you worked hard this year, and we see the benefits of your hard work and your dedication. Because when you take a school like Cajon High School that had 658 seniors in August when school started, and they graduated 655, I mean, that's just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. And I know the same thing happened at many of the other schools and things of that nature. So just want to say to all the staffs at all 70 plus of our schools, thank you for just having a good year, which means we feel good about you and about this district. We are a good team. We are a good board. Yes, we have differences, and in spite what Mr. Tillman and Dr. Flores might feel, I'm doing my best. But the other thing, I understand that there's life after board meetings on Tuesday night, because you have to be back here bright and early Wednesday morning, and I'm not even sure how safe it is, because some of you, you have to drive a little distance, and we just don't want you to fall asleep thinking about some of the things we talked about. So, no,
It's happening right now, Dr. Hill.
I'm talking about the cabinet members who have to be here. And all of the places that were visited today, I went to one, if not most of them. And so I'm not going to repeat any of those things, because all the other board members did a great job talking about where we had been. And I just want to say to all of our staff members, enjoy your summer, because you worked hard and you deserve it. So Cabinet, just appreciate you so much. And Dr. Marsden.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. So I won't repeat what's been said, but I was pleased this week. I was asked to present at Loma Linda's Exceed Conference. They gather educators from across the nation and actually the world. We had folks from Kenya and from Jamaica and from Canada and other places. So I had the keynote presentation there, talked about the great work that this board and community are doing. Also, during that same time, I wasn't able to be at the superintendent's meeting, so Dr. Volkermer, because our district was asked to present on the Gallup student poll work, he did that. And as you know, we're measuring right now our students, over 20,000 of them, to look at levels of hope, engagement, well-being, and now entrepreneurial aspiration and career and financial literacy. And so those are great dials to pay attention to in terms of the work that this board is doing and the effect on that. Loma Linda and other partners are extremely excited about that kind of data and those kinds of dials moving. So that's fantastic. And I have 271 billion reasons why I'm so excited to have welcomed our new consul last night. And that is this, that most folks aren't aware of the level of trade that occurs between California, Arizona, and Texas and Mexico, $271 billion. And just to give you a sense of what that means, our trade with China is $67 billion, those three states. And with Europe, it's about $62 billion, Canada, $32 billion. So $271 billion of trade with Mexico is no laughing matter. That's a huge economic engine, and I anticipate taking full advantage of that relationship for this community, for this district, for our students, for our teachers. And thanks to Dr. Flores and her leadership and work with that group, we're looking forward to taking that to the next level. So I'm excited about that. Also, the Law Enforcement Appreciation Dinner was mentioned, but it was such an honor as School Police Officer Robert Harrigy, our own, was received the Officer of the Year Award. And so that was a compliment to him. Our San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools Office recognized our schools who had received the Gold Ribbon Award as well as our Civic Awards, and our two schools, only schools in the county, and to earn the Schools to Watch status. That was fantastic. And as you know, later this week, Washington, D.C. trip will be had by Curtis and Serrano, and Dr. Hill will be representing you as the board. I personally won't be able to attend this time because I'll be on vacation, but Dr. Hill will represent in full force. I
Dr.
know.
Marsden, tell
Yes.
people that we're the only district to have
That's right. Yeah, that's correct.
in the whole county.
That's exactly right, in the entire county, that's right. Thank you, Dr. Flores. And then tomorrow, don't forget, please, board, if you haven't had the opportunity to see it, tomorrow's a ribbon cutting for the San Manuel Gateway College. This facility is the first of its kind in the planet, where you have high school students, high school grads, college interns, doctors interacting in a learning service environment. This will be a result in the direct employment of our students in well-paid fields. So please come by if you can from 10 to 1. It kicks off at 10 at the San Manuel Gateway College. Also, as a reminder, we'll have our new agenda format. We're going to pilot that starting in July. And what this will allow you to do is have a workshop style to go deep on one critical topic to ensure the discussion that you're hungry for and interaction with community and stakeholders, and have that clear focus on our primary topics. So you'll notice several items won't be on that. It's really just like having a workshop, except it's a regular meeting. This will help the board have these meetings during the bulk of the day that you've been used to doing that. So there won't be public hearings. We'll move special presentations, including showcases, student awards, to the second meeting of the month. Same thing with no action items other than the personnel report. Those will be moved to the second one. No reports or comments. The goal is to put this one topic under student achievement and have that be the focus of our work together. Finally, I want to mention on Friday, I'm very excited. We're going to be doing some pre-planning work for our November 10th Community Gathering for Excellence. Remember, this is where Jim Clifton, CEO of Gallup, will be our keynote speaker. He's agreed to speak gratis. So please think about who are some key leaders you feel need to be have me personally invite to this because it's important. I'll be meeting with our mayor, with Dick Hart from Loma Linda, Tomas Morales from Cal State, Omnitrans, UCR, the Tesla Foundation, who's new to our region, thanks to some work with Mr. Gallo. By the way, I'll pass out a little flyer you can look at relative to that work. Our county superintendent of schools will be there. Bruce Barron will be there. Greg Devereaux, our county CEO. I'm inviting, if Dr. Hill and Ms. Medina can come as well, we'd love to have you. That'll be this Friday. And Mr. Gallo as well is coming because of the Tesla work. So with that, I'm excited about what's ahead for our district, for our community, and I wanted to share those few things with you.
I apologize because I will still be in Washington DC
No
Friday.
worries. Yeah, I know you will. We've got a busy wrapping it up.
Mrs. Medina will represent me tomorrow
Fantastic.
and Friday.
Okay, great, fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And if another board member wants to attend, you're certainly welcome. We have room for one more, so, great.
Okay.
Thank you. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Let's move on to the consent calendar, session 9.
You know, and as board, as you get here, I just want to remind you, this is a time of year when you have annual contract renewals, May, June, July, you know, to avoid ratifications by the board. These are these annual renewals. You'll see more in July. It is the time of year we do that, so just as a reminder.
So we'll, okay, 9. Okay, because we're pulling a couple, right? Is that what we're pulling here? Okay. All right. The consent calendar, let's call for the vote.
So
A
moved.
motion?
Second.
All right, let's vote.
No, or any to pull?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
Yeah, if you want to pull any items.
which items you want to pull? Who's,
I'm just saying, are there any to pull?
are there any items to pull? Shall we start with you, Mr. Tillman, and we work our way back this way?
I don't have any.
Okay, Mrs. Medina?
I do. 9.10, 9.13, 9.14, and 9.16.
Dr. Morrison?
We've already pulled the one we had. We're not actually entertaining it on this agenda. We've removed it,
Right.
so that's the action I recommended before.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Rogers?
No, because Dr. Flores, I think, are pulling the same ones for the same reason, so no.
So I'm pulling some of the same ones that Ms. Medina's pulling.
Okay.
9.13, 9.14, 9.15, 9.27, 9.56, and 9.60.
Okay, 9.27, 9.56, and 9.60?
Correct.
All right. Dr. Wyatt?
I am good, thank you.
Okay. Other than those
9.10.
pull, let's vote. Thank you. Ms. Medina, 9.10.
Thank you. I just wanted to find out with this program, I remember many years ago when I started with the board, I wanted to find out with these great programs, what the outcomes are. And so I noticed that they're renewing it, renewing this program, which is a training for the teachers, I believe, and that's going to help middle school. So I'm wondering, how did the program go from previous year? Because this is $60,000, not to exceed $60,000, so I'm just curious on what, how did the outcomes come out last year?
Sure, we can have Dr. Volkmer speak to that for you.
Be glad to. Mrs. Medina and board, this is a program that focuses on Tier 2 and Tier 3 students, so students that are struggling getting through the regular curriculum. This is actually something we are doing out of the operational support money that you put in the LCAP. So it's for those programs that are a little bit different. This was a pilot last year at King Middle School and Arrowview Middle School. And what they're doing is they're taking students who have typically struggled through our system, and they're doing StrengthsFinder. And I don't know if you're familiar with StrengthsFinder, but that's a program that Gallup runs.
Okay, yeah.
We would understand it along the lines of multiple intelligences or kids learn in different ways. And this is basically a program that identifies how students best learn in terms of their own strengths. And then the teachers are taught how to teach toward those strengths. what we found was that the teachers at both schools have really enjoyed, they take the Strengths Finder themselves, so they not only learn what the kids' strengths are, but they learn their own best learning style and how they approach things. And so it's been very well received. King is going to continue it, and Arrowview is actually going to expand it this year. So they've seen very good results in terms of meeting the needs of kids.
Okay, so they
That
did
helps.
have some good outcomes. I'm just curious on programs similar to these, is there a way to look at the outcomes and how it benefited the students on some of the action, on some of these items, not action items, consent items in the future? If that's how, I'm not sure how exactly that would look.
Certainly, as we build these programs out and we get more defined data through our SBAC testing program, we can actually do pre and post
And the
data.
outcome doesn't necessarily have to be academics. It could be
Correct.
behavioral, it could be something else. So I just want to make sure I clear that.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Medina.
Thank you. So motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Let's vote. Okay, Ms. Medina?
Okay, this one.
9.13, and Dr. Flores, I think you pulled the same one. so-
Oh,
okay.
for me, I'm just curious on travel expenses. We're paying them already money, so why do we have to pay them travel expenses? Unless I'm misunderstanding what I'm reading.
Thank you, Ms. Medina. And I think, did another board member have a question on 9.13
Yes,
as well?
and it's related to 9.13 and 9.27.
Okay.
We have two items for the same law firm.
Project Lead the Way.
So 913, they're, both of them, Fieldman and Rollup is our financial advisor.
Oh,
And
okay, it's
district-
not a law firm, okay.
No, and
a finan-
districts should have a financial advisor that's independent of our bond underwriters. So they have a fiduciary duty to the district. So the one item when you're talking about travel is we had an annual contract of $10,000, but we had him do extra work preparing for the bond presentation. And in his contract, he can get reimbursement for travel and other expenses. So that's what happened for this past year. And then the second item that you're speaking of is our contract to renew the contract for
Oh,
next year.
okay, so this is travel and this is this one, okay.
Yeah, is that typical, though, that we reimburse, although they are getting money for a contract, that we reimburse? This is the first time maybe I'm actually paying attention to it.
So in the contract, in various contracts, you can get, they could charge their hourly rate or something for the time that they're traveling.
Although
to-
they're getting
yeah.
paid, yeah.
So moved.
Second? All right, let's vote. Do you want to vote again?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you. 9.14, Dr. Flores?
Yes, I just wanted an explanation of why we're going to June 30th, 2021, because it's like a 5-year contract.
I would have to get back to you on that. I do know why this is in here. Debbie Love has a master agreement because they go to the principals directly to work out agreements. And, you know, we don't want folks signing contracts that haven't been approved by purchasing. And so this is a master contract that actually allows them to work directly with the principals, and the principals can sign because it's been reviewed. And we don't have any issues, and we know that the contract is good. So it must be a 5-year renewable. I can find out for you.
So, so our principals can contract with them?
Because we have a master agreement, which allows them to work directly with the principals. So Debbie worked with them very closely to ensure
Oh,
that
so
what
they
they're
follow
signing-
the master contract?
Yes.
Well,
Okay,
and I
and then-
guarantee you, they lock in rates for
Right.
5
Oh.
years, because these are lengthy incremental
Okay.
programs
All right.
with Project Lead.
I
the Way is
didn't,
what
I just
this
didn't
is.
understand the
And-
concept.
And
'cause
we
I
don't
wondered-
want,
I wanted a
we
clarification.
wanted one set rate.
Okay, great. Okay, so moved.
All right, let's vote. Thank you. Ms. Medina, Dr. Flores, 9.15.
I just wondered what the cost is, because we usually put the cost.
Sure.
And I know it says that we're going to implement the second phase, but I didn't know what the cost was.
So I believe it was not to exceed 25,000 or 30,000, I can't remember last year. We only spent 3,000. This was working with Janelle Kubanik with West Ed. And she's really been helpful in us preparing, the information on base and supplemental programs and working with the resources that West Ed offers. So she's really only charged for some reimbursement rates. So we
Okay.
just want to extend the contract, and we'll
Okay.
encumber the balance of the contract into the new
Okay,
year.
no, there is a set amount. It's 25,000, but it's not here.
It's not listed.
It's not
It's not
Yes.
listed.
Because
It's a
we're
good
just
catch.
extending
Yeah.
it. but,
Yeah, so can we just put it there, not to exceed? I'd like to amend this, not to exceed 25,000.
Sure, we can do that.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'd like to move that we, as amended.
As a-
I'll
As
second.
amended.
All right, let's vote.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Tillman? Thank you. Thank you. 9.16. Ms. Medina?
I just needed to find out what this was. It wasn't really clear, at least for me, to understand what this services, what the consultant services was for the redevelopment agencies. If they
Sure.
could specify the 35,000.
So we have a consultant. He is a specialist in the area of redevelopment. And as many of you know that have been on the board for a long time, redevelopment was swept and went away, but they're successor agencies. Many districts were not receiving all the dollars they should have received, so he really gets in and looks at all of the dollars we should have received, and most recently was able to resolve a $2 million discrepancy we have between the city and the district, that we'll be getting $2 million.
That's a
We
nice
received-
return on investment.
Yeah, so we have about 10 redevelopment agencies through the successor agency that come through the revenue streams that come to the district. Because it's such a specialty, he monitors that we're receiving the dollars we're supposed to receive, looking at the redevelopment agencies as they are starting their dissolution and making sure that we continue to receive our dollars. And so he's been with the district a number of years. He's like the #1 specialist. I had him in my previous district as well.
Okay.
And so,
Okay.
very interesting man if you'd ever like to sit down and learn about
And talk to him.
redevelopment.
Okay, thank you. The motion?
Second.
Sorry.
Let's vote. And I think, Dr. Flores, for 9.27, we'll just vote.
Yours didn't show up, Dr. Hill, but
Who's mine didn't?
Dr. Hill?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Danny, did you?
Danny's
did you
didn't
vote?
either, I don't know.
Okay, all right, thank you. I think 9.27 was answered, Dr. Flores.
Oh, that was the one related
To that
to that one.
Yeah.
So I move to
Approve it.
accept, to approve.
Okay,
Second.
let's vote. Thank you. 9.56, Dr. Flores.
Yes, I just needed clarification on this one. I think it's great that we're going to go out to look at how we can, save water through our storm water pollution prevention plan. Mr. Poiker's not here, so he can't explain it. Can you explain it?
You're actually required to submit this. These are legal requirements to prepare one, every single business.
For the drought?
Period. You just have to do it as a business. Districts, everybody's got to do a stormwater prevention plan.
Oh, we do? Okay.
Everybody. It's
Because does that
mandatory.
include
It's a law.
us storing water, preventing
That's the
it
point.
point?
Yeah, that's the point. Retention of water
Oh,
on site.
on
and
site.
It's not necessarily for recycling and things. It's just
Yeah,
for
that's what I meant,
retention.
yeah.
Right.
Because I'm pretty familiar with stormwater. So I just wondered if we were going to do, so are the plans to implement it throughout our district?
I can let Janie speak to that.
So they will often study areas too around where you have transportation and vehicles, ensuring that there's not pollution going into the stormwater. So It's pretty technical. I didn't read up a lot on it before I came to the meeting, but we are required to do this. We don't have a choice. We'll be fined if we don't. So we can do a BC and explain in more detail
Right.
about it.
Because I'm thinking about the kids that I spoke to, the 7th and 8th graders at Rodriguez. And I asked them what they would desire. They said clean water to drink. And it says we don't have enough water to drink during the day. And so I'm concerned about that. If they said that was the one issue, that was the first issue they said, that we do not have clean water to drink.
Yeah, I wouldn't
This-
propose we redirect stormwater.
No, no, I know.
This,
But I know that we wouldn't redirect it, but if we were to use it some other way, and, oh, you're just teasing me. Okay, fine.
This is just to make sure that
Didn't get
there's
it.
no runoff or pollution into the
Yeah.
city. So this is very specific
Yeah.
about runoff and pollution, so
Right.
that we have a plan that doesn't happen, and so that helps
Okay.
contain pollution.
All right, so moved.
So second,
Second.
let's vote. Thank you. And 9.60, Dr. Flores.
Yes, I just wanted clarification, Dr. Marsden, on what our limit is, because this board is, one of their responsibilities is fiduciary. So what kind of leeway can we give to administrators? I just want to clarify, I'm not
Yeah,
opposed to it. I
sure,
just
sure.
would like clarification.
Sure. So you as a board can declare whatever limit you do or don't want to set. My previous experience in my last, I had up to $1 million authority. Not every district's comfortable with that level of
Right.
authority, so it's really on the comfort level you have with your
Right.
authority.
I would be okay with the 50,000 or the 25,000. I would just like for us to make sure that we get a list of the, of the items that you do approve, because I would like to know, and a tally of it as a board member.
We can do that.
Yeah. So can we put that in as amended?
What would you like to amend specifically?
That the board gets a summary statement?
Yeah, and maybe you put it at a certain frequency.
Right.
Quarterly, maybe, or
Maybe
something?
a quarterly statement
Sure, we can do
of
that.
what, you have done. Yeah, so that we're apprised of it and we know what it is.
Sure,
Yeah.
we can do that.
As amended, so moved.
Second.
Let's vote.
Mr. Tillman?
Tillman. Thank you, Mr. Tillman.
Mr. Tillman's an aye.
It's trying.
We got it.
It's
We got it.
Mr. Tillman, you still with us?
I'm with you, Dr. Hill, all the way.
Thank you. All right.
That's protocol number 11, Dr. Hill just.
No, we are. It's doing good. I want to commend the board. We're doing quite well. Session 10, 10.1, Personnel Report. Dr. Wiseman,
As presented.
thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Let's vote.
It's not coming up.
Aye.
Do a verbal. Let's do a verbal.
Aye.
I got all ayes.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
thank you. None opposed. Great. Motion carries.
10.2, approval of proposed educator effectiveness fund.
So moved.
Second.
All right, let's vote.
Gonna have to do verbal.
We'll do
Aye.
verbal.
Aye.
Got an aye on all counts?
Yes.
Motion
Motion
approved. 10.
The electrons are on leave, I guess.
That's right, I
It's summer
guess they are. I
vacation,
guess
right?
they are.
So
10.4, adoption of fiscal year.
10.3,
10.3.
Dr. Hill.
10.3, approval of proposed local control and accountability plan.
So moved.
Second.
Let's
Aye.
indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. 10.4, adoption of fiscal year 2016-17 final budget.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, let's give a verbal vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. 10.5.
So moved.
I'll
Okay,
second.
That's the approval of the proposed master plan for English learners. Let's indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
No abstentions?
Any extensions?
Great, thank you.
Abstentions?
Nope, okay, great, thank you.
10.6, approval of board policy 1312.3, uniform complaint procedure.
Second.
All right, let's vote by raising your right hand.
There we go. All right, we got it. Ayes. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Aye.
All right, any abstention? All right. 10.7, approval of proposed increase in salary.
Doc, I would have thought our ADs would have hung in there, but I know, right?
Okay.
Second.
All right. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Nay. Nay? Yeah. Okay, and one no. So that's 6 yes and 1 no.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Gotta say who the no is.
Abigail.
No, Abigail Medina.
Recorded.
Thank you. 10.8, approval of proposed anniversary increments.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Aye. Any noes? Motion carried. 10.9, approval of proposed doctoral stipend.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, you ready to vote? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. 10.10, approval of proposed post certification in education differentials. That's the school police management.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Let's vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any noes? Motion carried. 10.12,
That was pulled.
10.11.
Oh, I'm sorry, 10.11, approval to compensate coaching principal stipend. Ready to vote? All in favor indicate by saying.
I
oh,
need a motion.
Yeah.
And it's early, I don't know why I'm losing momentum.
Do we have a motion?
Is there a motion? So moved. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right. Let's prepare
Vote.
to
We'll
vote.
vote.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Myself, yes.
Okay. Abigail Medina opposed. Any abstentions? Motion carried. 10.12, approval of executive.
It was
No, that's
pulled.
been pulled, Dr. Hill.
Oh, that's been pulled. Okay. What else? Something else that was pulled.
We'd now be on item 10.13, the board's top 10 priorities.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, let me get there first. Okay. 10.13, board top 10. It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 10.14, future agenda items.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, let's vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any oppositions? Abstentions? Motion carried. 10.15,
Sorry, did we get a motion on 10.15? Oh, you did. I apologize. Forgive me. I'm so sorry. I think I'm.
We're on
sleeping
15. right?
10.15?
10.15,
So moved.
I'll second.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried.
And then during closed session, Dr. Hill, we will be reporting out.
Okay, this is the time for those of you who are in the audience. We will be going into closed session and we will be reporting out. Thank you. Welcome back to everyone, and we are going to report out on closed session and take action as appropriately. The first Okay, so I didn't know if there was a number or not. The first action item, be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the appointment of the following employee, Melvin Cortez, elementary school principal, effective date, work year, and salary to be determined. Funding is 035.
So moved.
And
Aye.
a second?
Oh, there,
Right,
it's
let's
working.
vote.
I think we're working.
It's working, all right, thank you, motion
Wrong with
carried.
that? Those electrons got their rest.
Yeah, all right, thank you. And now, okay, we'll move now to session 12. Item is 12.1.
I make a motion that we approve a one-year extension with conditions 10, plus also condition 11, which reads, I'm getting old. By no later than July 1, 2016, CLU shall notify all individuals who were employed in the 2013 through 2014, 2014, 2015, 2015 through 2016 school years of the amount of monies withheld for their STRS PERS contributions and provide written notice to employees that did not service credits, that there are no service credits because the contributions were not deposited in the STRS and PERS account.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, let's vote. Okay, that's 6-1, the no vote, Dr. Flores. All right, motion carried. All right, thank you.
Move to adjourn. Second.
We adjourn. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.